world of distraction. I'm watching Aaron Rodgers throw passes for the Jets. I got Get Up on another television. I'm completely distracted edition. The Where is everybody? I come to Madison, no Jesse, no Tausch, but I got Wooly, and we'll have a new cousin sub of the day today edition. And the I know, we're not talking about Aaron Rodgers. We're not talking about Aaron Rodgers, but sometimes we have to talk about Aaron Rodgers a little bit as it relates to the Green Bay Packers edition of Wilde and Tausch on 94.5 ESPN Milwaukee, 100.5 ESPN Madison, 1430 ESPN Beaver Dam. The ESPN app, ESPNWisconsin.com, your Alexa smart speaker, streaming live video, which I don't know where to look now. When I'm in my basement, I know where to look. I don't know where to look. Do I look here? Hi. I don't like this. Is a bad angle for me. It doesn't get my good side or my great skin that I've been told I have. That's not. We all know that that's not true. I'm Jason Wilde. Normally in the Everlight Solar ESPN Madison studios. Everlight Solar, save money, save the planet. It says right there. Ryan Wollersheim, who goes by Wooly, which I still don't understand, is in for Jesse as our cousin sub of the day for him. Is that the Madison forward jersey that you're wearing there?
Yes, the Flamingos, as they're known. Forward Madison. They had a game last night. Bobby Portis.
Did you play?
Attendance. I was not. No, I'm no soccer savant. I can't say I am, unfortunately.
Okay.
But I am a fan of soccer, and I know everyone's a fan of Bobby Portis, especially our cousin sub of the day today from Milwaukee himself.
And he is our cousin sub of the day. Cousin subs, we believe in better. He is a baseball aficionado for sure. Played it at the collegiate level. He is the ultimate teammate, and I just got done recording what I think might be the longest repackables of all the repackables you've done thus far. From Jen, Gabe, and Chewy, beginning hour 3 of a 5-hour consecutive run of radio work. It is our cousin sub of the day from the Gruberlovs' is One Call, That's All studios. It's Gabe Neitzel. Gabe, good morning, buddy. How are you?
Good morning. So, yes, we have the longest repackables, but of this podcast series, if we include the rebuckables, one that Eric Name and I did, Eric Name of The Athletic, covers the Bucks, does a fantastic job, pal of mine.
Mm-hmm.
We did one recapping Game 6 of the NBA Finals since it was the 2-year anniversary yesterday. I was thinking, okay, we'll keep it around a half hour, and that's what I told you as well. Eric and I ended up talking about that Game 6 for 55 minutes. So it's still not the longest of the series. I don't know if that makes you feel any better. I don't know if it makes you feel any worse.
Well, first of all, rebuckables?
Yeah.
Really? Like repackables, I get it. Yeah, that's clever. Rebuckables? A little... That's a reach, don't you think, naming-wise?
Look, I came up with the idea to do it on Tuesday, so, beggars can't be choosers at that point, Jason.
All right. Well, I would have been happy to help you with that title. But, yes, I did see that you tweeted out how lengthy that conversation was. And we can find that along with your repackables where?
You can get them at ESPN Milwaukee, at ESPN Madison. They're both up on Twitter. Or if you happen to visit, go subscribe to the ESPN Milwaukee or ESPN Madison YouTube pages. You can find all the repackables that we've done. I've done one with Steve Scafidi, where we recapped the last game of the year in 1995, which, believe it or not, was on Christmas Eve 1995, where Yancey Thigpen dropped the ball in the end zone for the Pittsburgh Steelers, giving the Packers their first divisional title in this run of success that they've had over the last 30 or so years.
First game I ever covered.
Really?
Yeah, I was running quotes.
He was wide open. He was wide open, somehow dropped it. Lenny McGill blew the coverage, and he was really happy that Thigpen ended up dropping it. So we had that one. Homer and I talked about the game in St. Louis against the Rams in 1996, where the Packers trailed at halftime. That was kind of a pivotal moment for that team. They wouldn't trail in the second half for the rest of the season after that game. Did the one with Tausch And then you and I, that one is going to be released next week. Next Wednesday, me and Jason are going to look back at the game where Aaron Rodgers got extended playing time in 2007 after Brett Favre was injured.
Well, I really enjoyed our conversation yesterday. I know that the NFL has certain rules against video components on our video conversation that'll be on YouTube. So I was watching some of the moments while we were talking from that game. Am I the only one that's doing a repackables game that was a loss?
Yes, that is correct. That is the only repackables that is a loss.
4th and 26, not something that you wanted to do a full podcast on.
No. And again, because the ultimate ending there is kind of depressing, whereas, the Packers lost that game that we talk about, but the overall season ended up being a success, and it was the launch, really, of Aaron Rodgers' Packers career. So ultimately, there was positive that came out of that game.
So, Gabe, you and I talk fairly frequently, both on the air and off, and I was listening to Wooley's Sports Center that he does here in Madison before the show, and he played a clip of the governor, Tony Evers, talking about the transition at quarterback for the Green Bay Packers. Now, I like Tony Evers. I look forward to him and his wife taking on Tausch and I in pickleball someday, as he promised. Although I don't think Tausch wants me on his team, so I don't know where that leaves me. Wiffle ball boy.
Does he think that he'd have to carry you? Is that the problem?
Yeah, and he's been very honest about how his game has slipped with the level of competition that he plays with. So I found that to be pretty harsh. That he must think I'm so bad that someone whose play has been on the downturn itself is now thinking that I don't know if I want to or have to or can carry this guy, because I've never played pickleball. I may be the only 50-year-old in America who has never played pickleball at this point.
It's easy to pick up. Have you ever played like tennis or table tennis?
It's like ping pong on a tennis court, right? Basically.
Yeah, like half of a tennis court.
Yeah. There's courts everywhere, including in Green Bay. So I listened to Tony Evers say that he's, he didn't even refer to Rodgers by name either, so throwing some shade there. But now I'm sitting in the Everlight Solar ESPN Madison studios, and First Take, which has Louis Riddick on today, who I really like, it's all Rodgers in the first segment for them. And I find myself, and Gabe...
part of that is also because, Rodgers did speak yesterday. The Jets are one of the few teams that are in camp because they have the Hall of Fame game, coming up, because I believe it's Jets-Browns?
Yes.
For that Hall of Fame game, so they get the extra week. And so part of it is Aaron Rodgers, but part of it is also we are a football-starved nation, and the Jets are the only one who are actually giving us somewhat real adjacent football content.
Yeah, and by the way, I'm struggling with the Wooly. I might need you to turn these off because they are distracting. I can see why Tausch has problems when he's in here, but I can't tell the difference between Get Up, which has two remote people talking to Greeny and someone else on one TV, and then there's First Take on the other one, and one of the guys that's on Get Up is also on First Take at the same time, which is very confusing to me.
Yeah. Well, so I don't know if you know this, Jason. ESPN has multiple outlets. There's ESPN, ESPN2,
but look,
ESPN
the same
News,
guy's
ESPN
on both TVs right now. He can't be doing both shows live at the same time.
That's
right?
correct, because Get Up is no longer live. Get Up is done. It's being replayed on ESPN2, and First Take is live on ESPN.
And then First Take has three people plus a moderator. I thought First Take was two people arguing.
Well,
but
when Mad Dog's not there, when Stephen A's taking vacation, those are some big shoes to fill, Jason, so they got to have multiple people go in there.
All right, well, they're talking a lot about Aaron Rodgers, and my point was this, and this was why I was bringing this all up. I don't necessarily want to talk about him. I certainly don't want to deal with the backlash from the portion of the Packers fan base. I saw kind of a long diatribe on social media the other day from someone who was frustrated that we talk about them too much. But at the same time, and I think it was Greg Scalzo who said this yesterday on Scalzo and Brust with Alex Stroh filling in, it's really hard not to talk about the Packers without talking about Aaron Rodgers in some way. And I thought especially something he said yesterday was relevant to the way last season went and to juxtapose it with how this youth movement and the excitement that young guys have about playing with Jordan Love is playing out this year. And so my question for you, Gabe, before we play that in the second segment and we get rolling on the show is, what has been the Jen, Gabe, and Chewy Aaron Rodgers conversational protocol? Because, look, and for those listening on Twitter, Facebook, or YouTube on the video feed, or listening over the air on our radio stations or streaming it in the various places, look, I'm not unwilling to understand your frustration. I'm not sitting here going, I don't care what people think. We're talking about Aaron Rodgers if I damn well want to. I don't operate that way. So I don't want to do it just to irritate people or just to do it because it's an easy topic to discuss. But I think something he said yesterday, Gabe, is really relevant to a lot of the things that relate to the Packers.
We don't go out of our way to talk about Aaron Rodgers, but we will talk to him. And I agree with Scals. Like, I 100% agree with Scals. Just like Brett Favre, even though he left, was going to be a part of however you talked about the Green Bay Packers back in 2008, Aaron Rodgers is going to be a part of how you talk about the Green Bay Packers in 2023. It's just the fact and reality of the situation. Love is going to be constantly compared to Aaron Rodgers. Whether that's fair or not, that's the way this thing works, especially because there are a lot of people out there going, oh, yeah, Jordan Love's good enough to lead them to the playoffs in his first year.
That, yes.
There's a lot of people, I mean, you talked about ESPN, a lot of people over there who want to sing Jordan Love's praises. And not that that's bad, but it's constantly going to be drawing comparison until Jordan Love gets far enough away from the situation. And again, this is none of his own doing, but this is just the reality of the situation. Until he gets far enough away from Aaron Rodgers not being here where he becomes his own player. Now, for Aaron Rodgers, he couldn't escape the Brett Favre storyline because Brett Favre was able to finagle his way to Minnesota. So he probably ended up dealing with the Brett Favre storyline a little bit longer than...
No doubt.
Because Rodgers was so good that first year and then played so good that second year that you could focus a lot basically on just Aaron Rodgers as a Packer fan. But the problem is you ended up playing Brett Favre twice a year because he played for the Vikings. If Jordan Love is good enough in 2023, and I don't anticipate Aaron Rodgers finagling his way out of New York to an NFC North opponent for the Green Bay Packers.
Agreed.
Jordan Love, if he's good enough this year, can separate himself from that Aaron Rodgers conversation within a year.
And if he's not good enough and he's just okay or it's a process, I still don't think a year from now we'll be talking that much Aaron Rodgers as we are now. But he said something yesterday that as soon as I saw it, it really perked my ears up and piqued my interest. Wooly has that for us. We'll hear from him after we hear from Tausch through the magic of pre-recorded reads, talking about one of our favorite things to talk about. It's not Aaron Rodgers. It's Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. More next. It's Wilde and Tausch.
Mark Tauscher here for Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. Well, school has been out for a while now, and you can imagine going through your kids' backpacks today, pulling out that old rotting lunch. Ugh. One thing you'll never have to worry about rotting again, that is windows, as long as you go with the great team at Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. They are so confident in their craftsmanship of each window and door that they offer the best wood warranty in the industry to prove it. And right now, you make payments as low as $35 a month per window and $78 per patio door. Visit PellaWI.com today.
This is Wilde and Tausch, presented by Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. Call Gina Della from Pella today, 855-PELLA-WI, and online at PellaWI.com/radio.
Ruggability. We straight made that word up. How else to describe the otherwise indescribable rugged, capable, incredible versatility and affordability of a Honda SUV? Car and Driver calls Honda the winningest brand in 10 Best history. Your kids will call it totally lit. But we like ruggability. And you'll like the incredifantabulous deals, so see your Wisconsin Heartland Honda dealer today. Honda gets Wisconsin.
LabCorp Clinical Trials is changing to a new name, Fortrea. While the name may be different, Fortrea combines decades of great experience and professionalism with new opportunities for clinical trial participation. It's more than a mission and more than a new name. Fortrea is dedicated to moving healthcare forward. To learn more about the future of healthcare and upcoming clinical trials, visit us at FortreaClinicalTrials.com. That's FORTREA clinicaltrials.com.
The GRB Rays have established themselves as one of the top baseball programs in the Midwest and the country. Since 2010, the Rays have developed over 350 college players, over 150 players committed to Division I baseball, and 23 MLB draft picks or contracts signed. The Rays are leading off for the 2024 season with tryouts for next year's spring and summer travel teams running from now until August 3rd. Visit grbacademy.com to sign up today. Rays Baseball. Rays your game.
If you're looking for a special piece of jewelry for any occasion, Condon Jewelers is always there for you. Condon Jewelers has the best selection of jewelry you'll ever find and guaranteed to have the lowest prices in the Madison area. Free shipping is always available. Visit CondonJeweler.com or call 241-3406 and ask for Jim, the owner, who's at the store every day. Shop locally. Condon Jewelers, the jeweler on the east side, the jeweler on your side.
The happy hour at Ruth's Chris Steakhouse in Middleton is still Madison's best kept secret, so shh. From delicious appetizers to amazing drinks, and of course the ambiance provided by that horseshoe bar makes Ruth's Chris Steakhouse a must-go-to. From cocktails with friends, networking happy hours, or just treating the family, and everything in between. Ruth's Chris Steakhouse in Middleton has everything you're looking for. So the next time you're looking to treat yourself, go to Ruth's Chris Steakhouse in Middleton. And remember, it's Madison's best kept secret. Shh.
Since 1956, Holman Lindsay Paints has been making paint in Wisconsin for Wisconsin. Because of their commitment to making great paint for Wisconsinites, Holman Lindsay has grown over the years to 26 locations in this great state. Headquarters in Sun Prairie with a state-of-the-art facility, Holman Lindsay has the paint you need to make your job better. From do-it-yourself to professional, Holman Lindsay has paint for everyone. Visit one of their local locations today in Madison, Sun Prairie, Middleton, and Janesville.
We tend not to think about right now, but right now in front of us is victory over cancer. Right now, cancer research funded by the V Foundation is leading to better treatments and saving lives. When you give to the V Foundation, 100% of your donation goes directly to game-changing cancer research. Victory over cancer is there for the taking by you. Donate at V.org, because today's cancer research is tomorrow's victory.
Don't give up. Don't ever give up.
I love being an orthopedic surgeon because I can help people improve their lives. My name is Ashish Raval. I'm an orthopedic surgeon at Stoughton Hospital and the Ortho Team Clinic. My specialty is sports medicine, focusing specifically on the care of the shoulder, hip, and knee. So the goal for me is always to see patients who want to get back to their active lifestyle. The techniques that I use now allow patients to return back to the activities, including sports, faster than ever before.
Learn more at orthoteam.com.
Training camp is just 1 week away.
The reality is that I don't know what to expect. I think I know, and if I'm right about what I think, then we're going to have a long year.
Nobody covers the green and gold like ESPN Madison.
Gabe Neitzelin is our cousin sub of the day. Cousin subs, we believe in better. He is in for Tausch, who will return a limited return, kind of like we'll probably see from Rashawn Gary at Packers training camp when that kicks off next week with the first practice on Wednesday. The New York Jets are already practicing. As Gabe mentioned, they are playing in the Hall of Fame game, although I'm guessing that number 8 fellow probably won't play.
I can't imagine he plays a single preseason game based on his past record of not doing that.
And the risk involved. And Mark Murphy mentioned when we had our conversation with him about preseason games and actually mentioned something about the current quarterback, Jordan Love, and discussed the value, as we've heard others say, of the joint practices. I don't think Jordan Love's going to play a whole heck of a lot in the preseason. That's something that I know is a point of contention for you, and I want to save that to discuss with you. So consider that a tease.
All right, I'll hold my tongue
for later in the program. Now, we are going to talk about Aaron Rodgers. Please don't turn off the show if you're one of those folks. Because, quite frankly, this relates to last season in the Packers. And, you know, I like to joke about this. I know it's an old man reference because Happy Days, I believe, was off the air by the time I was a kid, and it was just more of a in syndication show that I would see growing up in Milwaukee. I don't know exactly the scheduling. I think Joni Loves Chachi was in prime time in my youth still, and maybe we were at the point where like Richie Cunningham had gone off to college, and they had like fill-in characters trying to pick up the slack. But I always say this. Arthur Fonzarelli, the Fonz, you've seen his statue in Milwaukee. He never could say he was wrong. He would go, I was... Well, guess what, Fonzie? I know a guy kind of like you who also spent a long time in Wisconsin, and that's Aaron Rodgers, who, and in fairness, in this clip we're going to play, he doesn't actually say, I was wrong. But he comes pretty damn close for a guy who doesn't usually admit that. Here he is, along with the New York media, discussing his approach to the younger players in the past, which I think probably refers to last season.
Alan was talking a little bit about how when he met you in Green Bay, you were a little bit more like, this has to be done this way. You're taking a little bit of a slower approach because of how many new pieces are there. Has that been a challenge for you to kind of be a little bit laid off more?
I feel like I've grown a lot over the years. Now, some of that is the well-documented plant medicine journeys that I've talked about, but the other is perspective. As you get older, you see things a little bit clearer, I think. Hindsight is 20/20. Try and rectify some of the things that you did a certain way that you feel like you could have done better. I think it's always important to have patience in shorts and helmets, have patience the first few days of camp. Sometimes the patience can wear thin if it's repeat mistakes, but we're just building this thing right now. We want to build it the right way. And yeah, I would say maybe earlier in my career I was a little more easily angered, and I feel like I'm a little less triggered as I've gotten older.
Yeah, but last year you were definitely triggered, if we're going to use that term. Right, Gabe?
Wasn't patient, I'll tell you that.
Definitely not.
Because even though he didn't call out Amari Rodgers, and even though he didn't call out Romeo Doubs by name, we knew who he was talking about in training camp.
Ugh.
Right?
And again during the season about the mental errors.
Yes.
On McAfee. Yeah. I mean, that's as close. And again, I understand it's not, I was wrong, I should have done things differently. But it's basically that. And I think the reason why that was important to me, Gabe, for this show and for discussing the Packers moving forward is that for all the stuff that we don't know about Jordan Love, what we do know is that he's a young quarterback who has started one career game, so people have to be patient with him. And conversely, because people have to be patient with him, I think he's going to be more patient with mistakes than Aaron Rodgers was. He's going to be more patient with uncertainty. He's just going to be more of a patient person with other people. And there's no doubt that last year, Rodgers didn't do a good job of it. And that's as close as you're going to get to him acknowledging that.
Yeah, no, and I don't even know how much. I'm curious to see how much he's actually learned. Like, I'm curious to see what Hard Knocks looks like. I'm curious to see if Garrett Wilson runs a wrong route in week 2 of Hard Knocks. Is Aaron Rodgers, they're going to have a camera on Aaron Rodgers, he goes, ugh, and just kind of throws his hands up in exasperation and rolls his eyes and rolls his head back, like we've seen him do so many times with young receivers in Green Bay. Is he going to be upset if McCole Hardman, runs the wrong choice route? Yeah, is he going to get upset by those things? It's one thing to say them, Jason, like, oh, I've always believed it's about patience at this time of year. No, you haven't. No, that's just not true.
Well, you may have believed that, but your actions did not show that patience.
Yes. So while that's a nice thing to say right now on day one of training camp while you're with the new team, I'm curious to see how that plays out in actuality. Now, it's nice for him that he's got Alan Lazard and Randall Cobb as kind of security blankets that he can always rely upon, and certainly those two can relay to all of the other receivers in that room, hey, here's what Aaron Rodgers is going to expect of you. This is basically everything he said yesterday. While it's good for him to acknowledge maybe he made some mistakes in the past, I'm in the I'll believe it when I see it phase when it comes to Aaron Rodgers.
You try to rectify some of the things you did a certain way that you could have done better. Those words are as close as you're going to get to I blanked up last year. But again, I don't...
Do you think if he would have come to this realization in February, he'd still be a member of the Green Bay Packers?
Now, in that answer, he does sound like he realized it in real time that he wasn't doing a good enough job. But by then, I think
it was too late. He couldn't change course.
The horse was out of the barn
because he didn't look too happy at some of the receivers late in that game against Detroit either.
No doubt. So here's what I think he was always gone.
Yeah,
like I think that he had ample opportunity to have that storyline be different, and he at no point did he actually behave in a manner that indicated, you know what, I want to try and pull this out of the fire. Like I want to try and figure out a way to come back after all. After all this happened, I'm going to try and fix this. I think, and you're seeing it with his behavior in New York, I think he just had finally, it wasn't about Romeo Doubs, it wasn't about Christian Watson, it wasn't about what guys may or may not be on the roster this season if he would have been here. I think it was all about he reached his breaking point with his frustration with Goody and with the culture there and what he felt was wrong, even though he's not necessarily right about everything. I think it was just over. I do. I will always believe that. I certainly saw a path for him to come back. I just don't think he had any interest in going down it. I think he wanted this fresh start with a team that wanted to do things the way he wanted them done, like Brady got from the Buccaneers. Whether or not it works out that way for him, the way it did for Brady, I don't know. But I think if he is drinking truth serum along with his ayahuasca, I do believe he would say, I have been jealous of what Tampa Bay did for Brady, and I want to have the same thing. So I don't want to spend too much time on that because that's the kind of stuff that does frustrate fans. But that's why I look at what he's saying now, not as, oh, yeah, I really screwed up. I look at it as, I really screwed up, and I don't want to make the same mistake with the new team that I really care about, as opposed to last year's team that I tried to care, but I was so pissed off that I couldn't get to the place that I needed to get in terms of caring.
Yep. I think you're 100% right on that. I think you're 100% right on that, and you saw it in his body language a year ago, and you've seen it in his actions this year. He's been on his best behavior with the Jets. He has spent time going with Sauce Gardner to playoff games, whether it be basketball or hockey games when he first arrived, by showing up even if he suddenly had a calf injury that, was kind of bothering him and he didn't participate. He was still there. And just having a presence there at the OTAs and mandatory minicamps for the Jets, and I know they cut a week short because they got the extra week here for training camp. Him just being there, he's a smart guy. He knows, just the visual of him being there is going to be a good thing versus if he didn't show up, you'd have a lot of fans in the Jets fan base, a lot of people in the media who are going to ask him the question whoa, don't you care enough to be here?
Right. Ended up staying for the entire time, even though he didn't take part in all those practices. The question I want to ask Gabe, and that I want to ask others, and I will put this on social media, although I will probably regret it, is that when you hear him acknowledge, like he did with the Jets media yesterday, that he could have done things better, does that make you feel like, well, hey, at least he acknowledges that he made a mistake, or does it piss you off? Because, again, last year, we can still be where we are now, Gabe, with the transition and Jordan Love and everything else. But how much better of a position is this team in if they do better let's say they go 10-7, not significantly better, but there's a little bit more of a positivity. Those young receivers get a playoff game of experience because they make the playoffs, and so they've done that now. There's just all those extra experiences those feelings of what's required to win in the NFL. All those things, they have that if he's more invested, more patient, whatever it might be. So when you hear him, do you think, all right, well, I'm glad he's acknowledging he was wrong? Or when you hear him, do you just get more angry that he didn't do a better job last year? We'll get an answer from Gabe, our cousin sub of the day. Cousin subs, we believe in better. Next, it's Wilde and Tausch.
This is Wilde and Tausch, driven by Zimbrick Chevrolet in Sun Prairie on 100.5 ESPN. See their full inventory at ZimbrickChevrolet.com.
The Greater Madison Golf Show, brought to you by Coors Light, is at Lake Winter Country Club on Friday, July 28th and Saturday, July 29th. Enjoy demo days at the driving range from the best golf manufacturers around and participate in the adult or junior golf clinics. Try the Wanakee Hole-in-One contest or the Clean Mark Long Putt contest for a chance to win cash prizes. All attendees also receive a free round of golf at Christmas Mountain and Old Hickory Golf Club. Purchase GA or VIP tickets at RoyalGolfShows.com. That's ROYLE golfshows.com.
When it comes to security for your home and family, you want a winner, and we found one when we placed our trust with J&K Security Solutions. This is Greg Gard. Kim and Jeff hit the game-winning shot for us with the Control 4 home technology system. Home or away, from our smartphones, we can open the garage door, dim the lights, turn on the TV, as well as arm the security system. That's convenience as well as peace of mind. Let J&K Security Solutions do for your home or business like they've done for us. Call 255-5799 or online at jksecurity.com.
Hey, it's Jason Wilde. Show your excitement for the Brew Crew's return with Brewers Checking from Associated Bank. You'll get a one-of-a-kind Brewers Debit MasterCard, 10% off at the team store, and VIP treatment with Express Check-In through the Associated Bank gate. And for the ultimate all-inclusive game day experience for your crew, check out the Associated Bank Power Alley Group Space. Featuring a full buffet and private bar, the Power Alley overlooks left center field. And who knows, the next Brewers home run could be headed your way. Learn more today at AssociatedBank.com/Brewers. Member FDIC.
Since 1956, Holman Lindsay Paints has been making paint in Wisconsin for Wisconsin. Because of their commitment to making great paint for Wisconsinites, Holman Lindsay has grown over the years to 26 locations in this great state. Headquarters in Sun Prairie with a state-of-the-art facility, Holman Lindsay has the paint you need to make your job better. From do-it-yourself to professional, Holman Lindsay has paint for everyone. Visit one of their local locations today in Madison, Sun Prairie, Middleton, and Janesville.
What does summer sound like in a new Chevy? Find the best way to the ballpark with the Chevy Equinox navigation system. Load up the kayaks with room to spare in the spacious Chevy Trailblazer with 60/40 split folding rear seats. Haul out the camper and spend a night roasting marshmallows with the Chevy Silverado. Or feel the roar of the crowd and bring the whole crew along in the Chevy Traverse with seating for up to 8. So what are you waiting for? Click now and find summer happiness in a new Chevy. See your Badgerland Chevy dealer today. Traverse seating up to 8 standard and LS available on LT with second row bench seat, RS Premier, and High Country seat 7.
Big trailers and big opportunity. Since 1962, Stoughton Trailers has been a family-owned and operated business providing a professional yet casual work environment in Stoughton, Evansville, and Broadhead. If you're looking for your hard work to be rewarded with competitive wages and excellent benefits, plus growth and advancement opportunities, Stoughton Trailers is the spot for you. Positions now open in production, operations, finance, sales, engineering, and more. Go to stojobs.com to apply today. Stoughton Trailers, big opportunity.
My eye doctor gives me a lot of great advice, but the best piece of advice she ever gave me was where to go for LASIK. TLC Laser Eye Centers. Did you know that TLC has performed over 2.3 million LASIK procedures nationally, including treatment for over 10,000 doctors? Doctors recommend TLC because that's who they trust with their eyes. So book your free consultation now at TLC Laser Eye Centers. The doctor's choice for LASIK.
Right now, TLC is offering $1,000 off their Wavelight laser when treated in July. That's $500 off per eye. So call 888-TLC-2020 or visit SaveOnTLC.com. That's SaveOnTLC.com. The doctor's choice for LASIK. Must mention this promotion and be treated in July of 2023 to qualify. $1,000 off for both eyes on standard Wavelight price. $500 off for one eye. Cannot be combined with any other offers. See details at SaveOnTLC.com.
Hey, this is Craig Karmazin, founder of Good Karma Brands. Join Kyle Wallace and me every Sunday morning from 10 to noon for Sunday Karma here on 100.5 ESPN and Wisconsin On Demand.
Continue with Gabe Neitzel as our cousin sub of the day. Cousin subs, we believe in better. I'm still struggling. Gabe, do you when you do Jen, Gabe, and Chewy, is there a television on in the One Call That's All studios?
Got one TV. Well, that one's stopped right now. I need to get it fired back up because YouTube TV asks if you're still watching. So I need to hit yes. But I do have the Open Championship on one of the televisions that I have been monitoring, and looks like, First Take is up on the other television. We've got 3 operating TVs here. Yeah.
All right, so here's the question. I'm about to put it into the social media verse, which I'm bracing myself for reactions. Here's what I've written. Tell me how you would feel as a Joe Average Packers fan. I try to be judicious with how much we talk about Aaron Rodgers on Wilde and Tausch. I understand Packers fans' fatigue. That said, as a fan, how do you feel when he says this? Quote, you try to rectify some of the things you did a certain way that you could have done better. Because that's the quote that stuck with me from yesterday. I mean, that's as close to an acknowledgement of, I didn't do a good enough job with those young guys last year as I think we're going to get. Now, Tausch has asked me to try and twist his arm for our 7th anniversary to come on the program. He's got plenty of time in his schedule. Maybe he could talk to us while he's being filmed by Hard Knocks, and we can get a plug onto Hard Knocks. That would be ideal.
That'd be big. That'd be big for Wilde and Tausch.
Who the hell
that
is this
little
Wild
HBO
guy?
exposure?
Yeah. But that's my question for you. Like, you are a Packers fan, and you have been supportive of the former quarterback and critical when necessary, like I like to think I've been. When he talks the way he did yesterday at Jets camp and acknowledges that he could have done things differently / better, how does that make you feel?
I'm glad he's admitting that maybe he did some things wrong. Does it affect my fandom for the Green Bay Packers going forward? No, but at the same time, like not that I got to know him on the level you did, Jason, but just getting to see him. I mean, whatever. I'll tell this story. So one of the first years that I was here in Milwaukee and the Wisconsin Sports Awards were still a thing, my responsibility was I was more or less Aaron Rodgers' handler from our side of things. So I had to take
body
him.
Man.
So I, had to make sure he got to. It was the Sports Awards that was here in Milwaukee at MSOE. So I had to take him to one of the buildings on campus there, where he had this, some sort of dinner or whatever for some VIPs, and then me, him, and John Kerry went upstairs, where then he signed. I mean, I definitely couldn't count how many pictures and things that he signed for the Mac Fund. Like, he is a complicated dude, but ultimately I think he's a good guy. Like, I think he's a good guy. And I think that him admitting he's wrong, like me kind of getting to know him a little bit through some of the different, things professionally that I've gotten to see him through. Like, I'm glad that him as a human being he's willing to admit that he's wrong. I don't know if that really affects anything that I think of the 2023 Green Bay Packers other than this. This question popped into my head, Jason. If he would have come to this realization sooner, that he needed to be more patient, that he needed to be more understanding, and he needed to handle the young guys a little bit differently. Do you think he stunted the growth at all of Romeo Doubs and Christian Watson a year ago by handling it the way he did?
Yeah, it's a great question, and it's the question that most successfully spins it forward into the impact it has on 2023. Because to me, this admission has two prongs, right? One is how much better could last year have gone had he exhibited that kind of self-awareness. Because here's the thing, he knew he had to be more patient and maybe take a different approach, but he didn't do it, right? Like, I think he was aware enough to know that those guys were going to require that type of patience, but whether he was unwilling or unable, like sitting in the exit row and being asked about opening the door, if you're unwilling or unable, well, I think he was willing. I think he was unable. Like his competitiveness and his personality, his hard wiring, he couldn't figure out a way to be better at it.
Which is what I think, again, it's one thing to say it, and if you're a Jets fan or if you're a fan of the Packers who also wants to root for Aaron Rodgers next year, which I don't know how when this happened with Brett, I was 100% ready to root for Brett, Jason, and then I saw him that first game, because I'll never forget, the Packers played Monday Night Football against the Vikings.
Mm-hmm.
So the Jets played Sunday at noon. It was probably on every television station in the state of Wisconsin who was watching football. The Jets played the Dolphins, and Brett had a couple of Brett touchdown passes, where he pulls a rabbit out of the hat and just throws this incredible touchdown pass. And I remember being mad about it. And then I couldn't root for Brett while he was a Jet, while he was not a member of the Packers. So if you're one of those people that can do that, more power to you. But when he says this, I just don't think he's actually capable of it. It's one thing to be self-aware, but if you can't actually go through and make the changes, do I actually believe he's going to be patient with the Jets this year? No, I do not. If there's a young receiver that makes a mistake, I think we're going to see it on Hard Knocks. I think we're going to see it in the regular season games that we watch. I think he just expects a certain level of himself and expects that same level of everyone else around him. And if you don't live up to that expectation, the fuse is short when it comes to, and look, maybe afterwards he goes back and goes, hey man, I'm fired up, and apologizes to that teammate. Maybe he does that now versus he didn't do that last year. But I think in the heat of the moment, his competitiveness kicks in and he's just unable to control it.
And I would say that I don't know what it's like to be competing at such a high level that you can't control it. But I would say this. I still believe he has been for the vast majority of his career, if you talk to guys in the locker room, which I do, and guys, when you grant them the opportunity to speak freely, they know they're not on the record, that you just want to understand better, and those are one of my favorite types of conversations to have in the locker room. But most guys felt like Lucas Patrick felt about him, that he knew what each of them needed. Corey Linsley's another good example. Like, Corey Linsley doesn't mind getting his ass chewed, frankly, by coaches and by quarterbacks. And so that rookie year of 2014, I'll never forget the first game of the season in Seattle. I was back when I was still traveling for every single game. And he just...
What a disaster that game was.
Yeah, and who would have thought they'd be in the position they would be in with a trip to the Super Bowl on the line in that same stadium against that same team by year's end. But Corey Linsley made a mistake, and Rodgers just ripped him a new you-know-what. I mean, he just dressed him down. And I remember thinking, God, I could not take that.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember talking to Corey like the Wednesday after, and he's like, I'm fine with that. It doesn't bother me. Like, I played at Ohio State. I had coaches that did that to me all the time. I think he would have played for Urban Meyer. For him, that was fine. Clearly for Romeo Doubs, based on his body language, based on what I have gleaned about his personality, based on the comment, because I fully believe this. I think Rodgers got to the point where this guy doesn't like me to yell at him, so I'm just not going to say anything to him. So I don't hurt him because he's sensitive. He's more sensitive than Wilde. I really believe that, because when Romeo Doubs says that I learned a lot from Aaron, even with him barely speaking to me, that's what that tells me. And look, I don't ever give the Aaron Rodgers side of any back and forth I have with him if it's not meant for public consumption. But I will tell you this. I sent him that quote at the time at the minicamp or OTA, whenever it was that Romeo said that. I said, hey, I want you to know that he said this. What do you make of it? And he responded, and I said, look, I'll just say this. The leader that I know that you've been, what you were great at was always knowing which guy needed which type of leadership. And if a guy was fine with getting chewed out, like Corey Linsley, you knew that. If you needed to eat pancakes with Lucas Patrick and tell him he's a good player because his confidence was in the toilet, you did that. And it would seem that whatever you tried with Romeo didn't work, and you needed to try something else. Now, we'll see if Romeo can, and if he gets harsh criticism from Jordan Love. Because I'll also admit that's one of the questions I have about Jordan Love, is can he be that guy, the bad guy sometimes? Because that's part of leadership too, right? So I am fascinated by all that.
Love is in a tough spot when it comes to that leadership, because listening to Chewy tell stories, like, to me, he's in that stage of where Brett Favre was when him and Chewy and all those guys were coming in together. Yeah, at that last year, Aaron Rodgers was already a 4-time MVP. Like, Romeo Doubs literally grew up watching Aaron Rodgers play football because he'd been active for yeah. So when Jordan Love now, like, he's the peer. Like, he's not head and shoulders above Christian Watson and Romeo Doubs. So even though Brett was on his way to becoming a first ballot Hall of Famer, the first 3-time consecutive MVP winner, like, Chewy said, Brett knew he wasn't gonna say anything to me. He wasn't gonna say anything. You know, every once in a while it might be a come on, Chew, but he's not gonna dress me down if I did the wrong thing. And also because Brett knew that he had a tendency to throw interceptions, so he didn't want Chewy or Robert Brooks or Antonio Freeman or somebody like that, Frank Winters, to turn on him after he threw. Brett, what are you doing? I can't believe you made that throw. So Brett, I don't think, really got on guys at that point just because they were closer in age range. Like, they were closer in their developmental cycle and they were growing together. So I don't see Jordan Love, just because of how close they are in age and, quite frankly, where they are at their developmental level in terms of the NFL, I don't see him becoming a guy that's going to yell at Christian Watson if he runs the wrong route that leads to an interception.
Yeah, I don't mean that you have to be able to scream and yell and gesticulate and whatever else, but I do think that you have to have critical conversations if you're the quarterback.
Oh, sure.
And you have to say, dude, this isn't good enough. You have to be better than this. You can't run that route at 16 when it's supposed to be run at 14 or 18. Like, those types of things, he's going to have to do that. It can't just be, oh, it's okay, we'll get him next time. So I'll be eager to see how that part plays out. But, look, the bottom line is Aaron Rodgers did not lead in the effective way that he had led before last season, and this is as close as we're going to get to an admission. Let's play some early trivia.
Ooh.
Wooly, are you trying to get trivia out of the way because you know that I hate to do it at the end of the show and it's Feel Good Friday anyway, and we're not going to be doing we're not going to be doing trivia at the end of it?
No, it's just because I know people have been enjoying my voice already so far today, so I just want to treat them some more to that.
I feel like we've limited your chime-ins, which I think is
probably a good idea.
It's
probably a smart
idea,
move.
sure.
No, it is. But we do have some interesting trivia based off this week's major conversation in the NFL news cycle.
About the Washington Commanders and Dan Snyder?
No, I was thinking more about the running backs. Yes, it is running back trivia today.
So you wrote these. This is not Jesse writing them and leaving them for you. These are your questions. So if they stink,
we know who to rip.
Yes, precisely. You know who to rip, just like Aaron Rodgers ripping Romeo Doubs. Correct.
Okay, well, that's my leadership style is not to rip you on the air. I'll be screaming and yelling at you behind the glass, though, and during the commercial break. Because
I appreciate that.
That's my personality. I'm sure everybody knows that. All right, Wooly, what caller do you want?
Let's go. Well, we're talking a lot about Aaron Rodgers. We might as well go caller number 8, right?
Caller number 8. That. Speaking of things that are weird, like I just reflexively expect you to ask for caller 12.
Yeah.
Caller 8, 844-770-3776. Caller 8, 844-770-3776. We will play Wilde and Tausch trivia, running back trivia, next.
Wilde and Tausch on 100.5 ESPN is brought to you by Everlight Solar. Save money, save the planet. Everlight Solar. Rah. Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin present your Badger Minute. Here's Alex Strofe.
This Badger Minute brought to you by your Badgerland Chevy dealers, proud supporters of Badger Athletics. Go to BadgerlandChevy.com. Former Wisconsin running back Melvin Gordon and many other NFL running backs are expressing their displeasure with NFL franchises and their treatment of the running back position. Gordon, who's currently a free agent, joined Wilde and Tausch last week to talk about the state of the running back position in the NFL.
You know, at this point in time, we're the ones that's getting filtered out. We making the same as long snappers and kickers, and it really sucks because you got college students making more than guys in the league.
Find the full interview with Melvin Gordon on Wisconsin On Demand or wherever you get your podcasts.
Pella's window and door design options are virtually limitless. Customize your order by August 31st and you could bundle and save big at PellaWI.com.
Zimbrick Chevrolet.
When was the last time you had your oil changed or your tires rotated? Do you need new tires, a battery, perhaps some windshield wipers? Zimbrick Chevrolet Service Center is equipped to help you with routine maintenance, major repairs, and everything in between. Get your free battery inspection coupon and schedule an appointment today at ZimbrickChevrolet.com. Don't overpay. Shop Zimbrick Chevrolet on Main Street in Sun Prairie.
Main Street, Sun Prairie, Zimbrick Chevrolet.
Are you dreaming of a new look? Let the pros at 5 Star Painting bring color to your world, to your interior, exterior, cabinets, and more. We make it easy with online scheduling, free on-site estimates, and a dedicated project manager on every job. Uneasy about hiring a contractor? We know, we've been there. 5 Star Painting is customer-focused and quality-driven, exceeding expectations every time. Call or visit 5starpainting.com today. 5 Star Painting, a neighborly company.
2023 is a very special year for Goodman's Jewelers. We're celebrating 90 years of serving the greater Madison area. John Hayes for Goodman's Jewelers. Needless to say, that's a long time and a lot of great memories working with you, our customers. During these 9 decades, we've never deviated from our pledge to you, which is earning your trust, delivering top-notch service, and a selection that's second to none. Discover firsthand why Goodman's Jewelers is truly a destination worth reaching. 220 State Street, Goodman'sJewelers.com.
The best is at Goodman's.
What does it take to make a diamond? Extreme heat and pressure and about 1 billion years. But you can't wait that long. What do? You go to Goodman's Jewelers. I'm John Hayes from Goodman's Jewelers. There's a reason we are the Diamond Store of Madison. Since 1933, we provided outstanding service and selection to our customers. And that in turn has helped to establish countless great memories through the years. Goodman'sJewelers.com. Located at 220 State Street. Truly a destination worth reaching.
It's ESPN Wisconsin's Ben Brust for Road America. Make the most out of your summer at Elkhart Lakes Road America. The race season is still going strong. Don't miss a minute of the fun. Camp on site all weekend and enjoy free admission for kids 16 and under with a paying adult at the gate. Enjoy affordable family fun with the return of the NASCAR Xfinity Series to Road America July 27th through the 29th. Get your tickets at roadamerica.com. Come for the experience, stay for the race. Road America, America's national park of speed.
What is dedication?
People ask, how your children learn how to ride a bike and you didn't? I just created an environment where they taught themselves, and all I had to do was be there.
That's dedication. Visit fatherhood.gov to hear more. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
If you're looking to fill the vacant space in your commercial building, the local agents at RE/MAX and the Preferred Commercial Group are eager to grow your bottom line. Head to commercialwisconsin.com/ESPN and find an investment partner to lead the way to your property dreams today.
On the air, on demand, on social, on Wisconsin Sports. Serving Wisconsin sports fans. This is 100.5 ESPN.
Running back trivia is the category for Wilde and Tausch Trivia. Let's welcome in our contestant. It is Tucker in Wausau. Tucker, good morning. How are you today?
I'm doing great. Hello?
Do you enjoy it when we talk about Aaron Rodgers, or do you try to turn off the show?
I will listen regardless. If it's Aaron Rodgers talk, it just turns into background noise usually.
That's a really good answer. Almost as good as saying that you could have done things better. All right. The category is running back trivia. If these questions are great, the credit goes to Wooly. If the questions are terrible, the blame goes to Wooly. Question number 1 is this. Which of these Packers running backs was the first and only player in franchise history to rush for more than 1,500 yards in a single season? Was it Aaron Jones, Amon Green, or Turdell Middleton?
That would be B, Amon Green.
1,883 yards on 355 carries.
He was so good that year.
2003. And he also caught 50-some balls. He was a machine. Agreed. 1 for 1.
All right, question number 2. Who is currently the NFL's highest paid running back in terms of average annual salary at $16 million per year? I wonder when a running back actually is going to get a salary like that ever again. All right, Tucker, $16 million a year. Who has it in terms of running backs in the NFL? Is it Christian McCaffrey? Is it Alvin Kamara? Or is it Derrick Henry?
I'm going to go Christian McCaffrey.
Not very confidently.
It is the correct answer.
Oh.
Very relieved there, Tucker.
Were you literally holding your breath during the drum roll?
There was some apprehension there for sure for Tucker.
Yeah.
All right, Tucker, clean sweep opportunity here. Question number 3 is this. Which running back finished as the league leader in rushing yards last season with 1,653 yards? Was that Saquon Barkley, Tony Pollard, or Josh Jacobs?
Oh, man. I'm going to go with Saquon Barkley.
Said with
not very confident.
Not any confidence whatsoever. And with good reason. Your NFL leader in rushing yards last season, Wooly, was who?
That was Josh Jacobs of the Las Vegas Raiders, one of the notable running backs who is franchise tagged by their team this week.
Were you
3 of those guys?
Yeah. Yep. Were you surprised when you did your research for these questions that was the correct answer? Or did you know that?
No, I knew that because I knew he had a really great year, even though Las Vegas was terrible last year. But I was surprised that they didn't tag him because he's still relatively young, but all 3 of those guys got tagged by their team, and he had as good of an argument as anyone to get paid, and even he didn't.
Yeah, except he plays running back, and the argument is clearly against the idea of you getting paid. All right, Tucker, you can still get paid off by winning an ESPN Wisconsin prize pack in our drawing. You get 2 correct answers, so you get 3 of the possible 4 entries into our drawing later in the show if Wooly's being trusted with that job. I know that's Jesse's purview, so we'll see if we actually do the drawing. But if we do, you'll have 3 entries. Thanks for playing, buddy. We appreciate you.
All right, thank you, guys. Enjoy the show. Thank you.
We also appreciate our great partnership with Fleet Farm, and I'll tell you this. Tausch does his Pella reads every day, and he gets a little nervous when he's talking a new one when the new month begins. This one is probably, when it comes to Fleet Farm, my favorite because it could not be more accurate for the Wildies shopping list when we go to Fleet Farm. Because, I'm not handy, I don't fish, I don't hunt. What I do have is a lot of pets, and we have a lot of birds outside. And we also have deer that we feed corn to. And so, you'll find deals on everything you need for your 4-legged friends at Fleet Farm. You can check out their huge selection of treats, toys, and food for your dog or your cat or your hamster, which we also have one of those. You can shop and save on top brands like Purina, Science Diet, Tidy Cats, and more. You can get everything you need for your everyday life, and that is my everyday life, at new lower prices at Fleet Farm. And you can also keep your favorite wild birds coming back all summer long with the help of Fleet Farm. And that is exactly what we do. You talk about truth in advertising. We buy pet food, we buy bird seed, and we buy corn for our deer in our backyard at Fleet Farm. You can check out their wide selection of bird seed and food, feeders, houses, and baths. We need a bird bath. That's one thing we're missing on that list. Make your birdhouse the best on the block with wild bird seed and wild bird essentials from Fleet Farm. The 10 o'clock hour of Wilde and Tausch with Gabe Neitzel is our cousin sub of the day. Cousin subs, we believe in better. It's Wilde and Tausch.
Don't go anywhere. Another hour of Wilde and Tausch, presented by Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin, is coming up next on ESPN Wisconsin, the ESPN app, and Wisconsin On Demand.
Mark Toscher here for Chalmers Jewelers. Well, it's always a good time to get that special someone in your life a beautiful gift. And when I'm in need of a new piece of jewelry, Chalmers Jewelers is my go-to place. Whether I want a timeless classic or a one-of-a-kind piece, Chalmers Jewelers in Middleton and Madison has just what I'm looking for. My life has been made so much easier thanks to the great team over at Chalmers Jewelers, and is the reason I keep going back for more. Visit chalmersjewelers.com to find your perfect new piece of jewelry today.
Hey, this is former Badger Brad Norton.
It's a fake. Great call and great execution.
You're listening to a Good Karma Brands radio station, 100.5 ESPN, WTLX, Monona, Madison.
Broadcasting live from the Everlight Solar Studio, this is your Metro Kia of Madison Sports Center.
Good morning, Madison. I'm Ryan Wollersheim, and this is your Sports Center update brought to you by Goodman's Jewelers, the diamond store of Madison for generations. Check them out at 220 State Street and online at goodmansjewelers.com. Wisconsin State Governor Tony Evers appeared yesterday on WTMJ. He talked with WTMJ out in Milwaukee about the Green Bay Packers and his expectations for new starting quarterback Jordan Love and how he feels about the team following the departure of Aaron Rodgers out to New York.
I'm excited. I think he's going to do a great job. I'm kind of glad, I'm not saying I'm glad that the former quarterback is gone, but there was just too much drama there. So the drama is now gone, and we have a good quarterback that's been waiting in the wings.
Listen back to that full appearance on WisconsinOnDemand.com. The Milwaukee Brewers got 2 out of 3 from the Phillies earlier this week, but now they play the best team in baseball, the Atlanta Braves. Braves 62-33 on the season. The Milwaukee Brewers 2.5 games ahead at the top of the NL Central rankings. Freddie Peralta is set to start for the Brewers tonight at 7:10 p.m. out in Atlanta.
Metro Kia of Madison, Madison's trusted Kia dealer. Stop into Metro Kia on the east side of Madison or metrokiaofmadison.com.
I've been grinding so long, been trying it for years. And I got nothing to show, just climbing this rope right here. And if there's a man upstairs, he kept bringing me rain. But I've been sending up prayers and something's changed. I think I finally found my hallelujah.
The 10 o'clock hour of Wilde and Tausch begins now. I'm still adjusting to the Everlight Solar ESPN Madison studios, Gabe.
You look great in it.
Well, so
it looks fantastic. The studio itself, I mean, there's like a strategically placed coffee mug over there, so you see the ESPN Madison logo, you see the Everlight Solar Everlight Solar logo.
Yeah, what my problem is that and this is not the worst thing in the world that I'm much smaller on the video. But I'm accustomed to the ESPN Wisconsin Wilde Family Basement Studios, which I use an iPad for the video, and it's like you are on our video feed on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube right now. You're front and center. Like, I can see all the little scraggles of your beard. Great lightweight hoodie that you've selected today. And I feel like it looks like I'm in this giant room, and I'm this tiny little guy sitting at a big table, which, believe me, I wish I was tinier than I am. So I'm adjusting to that. I'm adjusting to all the TV distractions. Can we put like Law and Order on or something? Because that's my background TV when I'm working on something. I don't have to watch it because I've seen all the episodes so many times. So it just gives me that kind of background that, as Tucker said in Wausau when we talk about Aaron Rodgers, we become his background.
Super niche question of the day, Jason. Have you watched any of the new Law and Order since it's come back?
I've watched them all.
Okay, so you have. I've got a few I need to catch up on because I too am a big Law and Order fan.
You, me, and Dick Bennett.
My wife calls me an old man because of it.
Yep, you, me, and Dick Bennett.
And, I just... It doesn't have the same feel to me. Like it's like the new ones are still missing a little bit of something, and I had a little bit of a harder time kind of getting back into it when they brought it back. Even though Sam Waterston is still there as Jack McCoy as the DA, I just didn't. I couldn't get it into it right away.
I think you describe it very effectively. We did not have breaking down the new old Law and Order on our show sheet, but. We're going to do it anyway.
I don't think they're going to give me like a podcast where we go back and rewatch a bunch of Law and Order episodes, Jason. So I had to throw it in somewhere.
Reorderable. So I agree with your assessment. It just doesn't have the same vibe or feel. I actually like the combination of the two actors that play the two primary detectives.
Yes,
it is kind of formulaic, I noticed, because I watched them. I didn't watch them when they would come on each week. I binged them while I was working, and I found myself, as I've been doing my previews for the State Journal of the positions, I find myself having to watch them because I haven't seen them hundreds of times like all the ones that air on Sundance TV and BBC TV and WE Television. Not that I know these channels by heart. But
I could tell you each and every one of them, Jason, and I know when Law & Order is on every day.
Yep. And so they're a little more formulaic. There's always a foot chase, I've noticed. So I don't know how caught up you are, but it seems like every episode now, the perpetrator or the suspect always takes off on foot. Usually throws something into the way of the chasing officers, the detectives, whether it's a bunch of Amazon boxes or something else. You're right. It's missing a little something.
And just an observation. And look, I mean, they've got two very in-shape detectives versus when, the GOAT of detectives, Lenny Briscoe. Lenny was a little older. Lenny's not chasing too many guys
running away from him. Yep. By the way, if you're looking for like the police procedural genre, I discovered this a little bit later in its season, and it became one of my favorite shows, probably behind Ted Lasso. Very different than Ted Lasso, but Will Trent on ABC. I think it's on Hulu for streaming purposes. Very, very, very good. Shout out to Will Trent. Yeah, very good program. I don't know if anybody's saying the same things about my previews in the State Journal as we go position by position, but I do this every year. This is year 27 of that because I joined the beat in 96 midway through the season, so this is my 27th training camp. Gabe, when you think about the Packers' various position groups, and Brian Bulaga was our cousin sub yesterday. We spent a long time on the offensive line, which makes sense, and we spent a good amount of time on running backs. Is there a position group that you are most not I'm not talking about confidence. I'm not talking about high expectations. I'm talking about intrigued. Is there a position group that really intrigues you more than any other?
Tight end.
Really?
Tight end is the most intriguing thing to me because when it comes to that position, they and maybe it's through no fault of their own because Robert Tonyan ended up with the ACL injury, couldn't really get back to the player that he was back in 2020, which is why he's probably now a member of the Chicago Bears. But it's a position that they haven't been able to get right for so long. And now they're almost hitting the hard reset. Oof. And there's a lot of expectations. I say, Luke Musgrave, he's got to be tight end one. I don't know if that's true. I mean, maybe he's looked decent in some of the OTAs and things like that, but talking to the guy who's usually sitting in the chair I'm in between 7 and 9 a.m. on 94.5 ESPN, and I'm talking about Packer Hall of Famer Mark Chmura, that position, after quarterback, is the hardest position to learn in the NFL. And the reason for that is, if you're a wide receiver, you get to know the route trees and route concepts. If you're an offensive lineman, you got to know your blocking combinations, run, pass, and that's basically it. If you're a tight end, you have to know all of that. You're being asked to do some things that an offensive lineman are being asked to do. You're being asked to do things that wide receivers are being asked to do. So it becomes a complicated position, and a lot of information is being thrown at you. And when you take a look at the careers of some of the best tight ends in the NFL today, I'm talking about Kittle, I'm talking about Kelsey, they did absolutely nothing their rookie years. Nothing. When you take a look at Kyle Pitts, like finally now in year 3, expectations are high for Pitts. He was a top 10 pick. And I understand that the quarterback situation's not great in Atlanta. But at the same time, we don't know what the quarterback situation really is here in Green Bay and in Wisconsin. So the fact that they drafted 2 rookie tight ends, I'm excited for that. I'm glad they invested 2 relatively high picks at that position, because then hopefully one of them pans out for the future. But as far as 2023 goes, it's hard for me to have expectations for them. Plus, I know that Matt LaFleur really likes Josiah DeGuara. So even though there's all this talk about Musgrave, oh, he's got to be tight end 1, I kind of have a feeling that it's going to be Josiah DeGuara, at least early in the season, because of what Matt LaFleur thinks of him. And there's just a lot of moving parts to try to figure out what that position's going to look like, in a position that's going to be fairly important if we're running the true, quote-unquote, Matt LaFleur-style offense.
And I would push back on you with your choice, although you get to choose whatever you want, so I'm not criticizing.
Yeah, this reminds me of a story Homer has told where he had Chris Carter on the air, asked Chris Carter his opinion. Homer told Chris Carter he was wrong, and Chris Carter went, well, then what'd you ask my opinion for?
Very fair. I don't feel the same intrigue there, because I think I know what's going to happen. And you just outlined it. I think they're going to play Tyler Davis more than we're expecting to. And you're right. Luke Musgrave, in routes on air, he looks unstoppable. Big, fast, catches the ball. Those are all great things. But that's not what it's going to be like against the Bears and throughout the season. And I think he looks the part, right? And that's the only thing that we can say for certain after the offseason program are which guys, you can't rule guys in, but you can definitely rule guys out. That's what Ron Wolf used to say. And the Joey Jamison conversation on the sideline during minicamp in 2000 still rings in my ears. Well, I effed up on that pick. That very rarely happens that you know right away that I blew it. No one is saying by any stretch that that's true of either of the rookie tight ends that they drafted. The issue is, how good can they be as rookies? They're going to get opportunities because they want to accelerate that learning curve. Whether they can successfully do so is another matter entirely. But I feel like the reason I'm not as intrigued by that is because I feel like I kind of know what to expect there, which will be growing pains and a couple of flash plays, but otherwise not as much productivity as we will see from Luke Musgrave and Tucker Kraft in 2024. I think they'll take steps, and maybe by the end of the season, they'll have figured out a way to accelerate their development. But it's not just Chewy. It's John Dunn, it's Adam Stenovich, it's Matt LaFleur, it's Goody. They all said the same thing. Second hardest position to play as a rookie on offense because of all the responsibilities. The position that intrigues me the most is wide receiver, because I want to see how big of a jump the 2 guys that played the most, still less than half the snaps last year, but those 2 guys that everyone's excited about, myself included, they flashed, no doubt, but I want to see how good Christian Watson and Romeo Doubs are going to be this season. I also am very eager to see, with 6 guys at the position that were either drafted last year or drafted this year, and then a couple of undrafted guys that are interesting as well. I really want to see if they're going to go into the season with no veteran presence whatsoever at the position, and if they don't, how quickly a Jaden Reed can really be productive. He was great against Wisconsin. I've checked the Packers' schedule. They don't play Wisconsin.
That's unfortunate for the Packers. That would really help the over-under number in Vegas if Wisconsin was on the schedule.
Well, it would make things interesting for sure. But my point is that I don't know what to expect there. Like, Tausch is convinced that Christian Watson will have more yards and Romeo Doubs will have more catches. I think he'll probably be right. But I still am leery of Christian Watson catching the ball consistently. You know, I was looking back after I spent some time with Mike McCarthy yesterday, and then after I spent some time with you, because those were two Dallas Cowboys-related people that I talked to. I talked to you because we were doing a Dallas Cowboys game for our Repackables podcast, and the other guy's the coach of that team. And I went back and I looked at the game last season when Mike McCarthy came back to Lambeau, which had been some of our conversation, and did you realize that great game that Christian Watson had with the 3 touchdown catches, that he dropped the first 2 balls thrown to him? I had forgotten that.
Yeah, I mean, they were down 28-14, and that was part of the reason. And I think he even had a drop after one of the touchdowns.
Yeah, and so my issue with him is not, I mean, he's an athletic freak, fast, big. My question is, can he catch the football consistently? He made some terrific catches. You heard Aaron Rodgers, by the way, who I think had a much better relationship with him than he had with Romeo Doubs, talking about how the one over-the-shoulder catch that he had after the drops against the Cowboys, and I think you're right, I think he later had another one that got swept under the rug because of all the great things he did, and rightfully so. But he makes an over-the-shoulder catch against the Cowboys, and Rodgers kept pointing to that. Remember that, about how that was like when the light went on for him? Well, does that light stay on? And is a quarterback who's less accurate going to be problematic for a guy who doesn't catch the ball consistently already? Those are the things that I'm fascinated by. So it'll be interesting to see. If you want to use the talk and text line 844-770-3776, what position group intrigues you the most? If you were among the, they're talking about Aaron Rodgers crowd, we're not talking about him. Great time to chime in, 844-770-3776. We've got Gabe Neitzel in as our cousin sub of the day, but that doesn't mean we won't hear from Tausch talking about his favorite beverage, Coors. It's Wilde and Tausch.
Coors Light is brewed with a 3-step cold process, cold lager, cold filtered, and it is cold packaged, so it is made to chill the mountains. Oh, every time I'm out, whether it's golfing or just hanging out, got to make sure Coors Light's cold-activated bottles and cans, they are blue. That's when I know it is chilled to perfection. And is always Coors Light in my hand when I need a moment to chill. Celebrate responsibly. Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado.
This is Wilde and Tausch, presented by Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. Call Gina Della from Pella today, 855-PELLA-WI, and online at PellaWI.com/radio.
Mark Tauscher here, hoping you enjoy Feel Good Friday, coming up to close out today's episode of Wilde and Tausch, painted by Hallman Lindsay Paints. And whether your next paint project calls for green and gold, cardinal white, or any color, I strongly suggest you do what my family did and trust the pro painters at Hallman Lindsay for your next project. Hallman Lindsay's pro painters are the best in the business, and you know what we say. Wisconsin's best painters use Wisconsin's best paint, and they're ready to help save you time and trouble. Get connected with the pro painter best for your project by simply stopping in to any of Hallman Lindsay's Madison area locations, and you just ask, and they'll get you in touch with the pro painter that best fits what your project calls for. And instead of spending your time painting and repainting, trust Hallman Lindsay's pro painters so you have more time to enjoy the summer before time runs out. Check them out at HallmanLindsay.com. That's HallmanLindsay.com. Hallman Lindsay, great paint, great people, and stay tuned for Feel Good Friday, coming up to close out Wilde and Tausch, painted by Hallman Lindsay Paints.
Ruggability. We straight made that word up. How else to describe the otherwise indescribable rugged, capable, incredible versatility and affordability of a Honda SUV? Car and Driver calls Honda the winningest brand in 10 Best history. Your kids will call it totally lit. But we like ruggability, and you'll like the incredifantabulous deals, so see your Wisconsin Heartland Honda dealer today. Honda gets Wisconsin.
The GRB Rays have established themselves as one of the top baseball programs in the Midwest and the country. Since 2010, the Rays have developed over 350 college players, over 150 players committed to Division I baseball, and 23 MLB draft picks or contracts signed. The Rays are leading off for the 2024 season with tryouts for next year's spring and summer travel teams running from now until August 3rd. Visit grbacademy.com to sign up today. Rays Baseball. Raise your game.
Come celebrate Milwaukee's original house party along our beautiful lakefront. German Fest, July 28th, 29th, and 30th, featuring authentic German food, beer, and back this year, Steel Timber Sports, an international extreme sports competition with axes, saws, and more, all 3 days. Don't miss the Glockenspiel, Dachshund Derby, Culture Village, Mardi Gras Show, Drachenschau, and the Schürzenjäger, Friday and Saturday night, and so much more. For more on German Fest tickets and admission discounts, visit GermanFest.com. Holla-roody!
From color-changing alexandrite to shimmering zircon and everything in between at Chalmers Jewelers, you'll find high-quality, affordable, one-of-a-kind pieces. We source straight from the gem cutters, and we manufacture in-house from start to finish. As the manufacturer, we believe in truth in pricing. Never pay more for quality and stunning, beautiful jewelry. She's one of a kind, and so should her jewelry be. While others may send your jewelry dreams to someone else to make, with us, your dreams become reality with the help of our custom jewelers, with you involved the whole way. With a staff that has over 200 years of combined experience, why buy from a place that marks up jewelry made by the thousands? When you can buy direct from Chalmers for that one-of-a-kind piece that is better quality, often for less.
Chalmers Jewelers in Middleton
And Madison.
Aubrey Schlimkin here, your 2023 Dane County Fairs to the Fair. The 2023 Dane County Fair has a full lineup of fun-filled entertainment and activities. Celebrating our 173 years, the Dane County Fair is putting on an exciting fair with daily free entertainment that includes Paul Bunyan lumberjack shows, stingray encounters, and magical bubbles. We have a week full of some amazing musical entertainment as well. The Dane County Fair runs July 20th through the 23rd, and gates are open 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. For more information, visit our website, danecountyfair.com.
We're on the Packers
I'm skeptical that the sky is the limit for the 2023 Packers.
because we're on Wisconsin sports.
I think the sky might be the limit for the 2024 Packers.
Nobody covers the green and gold like 100.5 ESPN.
Continuing with Gabe Neitzel as our cousin sub of the day. Cousin subs, we believe in better. But that was fun yesterday, taping that Repackables podcast. I really enjoyed that. I think we should do more of those.
I have had a lot of fun doing the series because it's allowed me to go back and watch some of these different games and have some fun. We've got some really fun ones that are planned. And actually, I stand corrected, Jason. We haven't recorded it yet, and we'll see if the two people I'm recording it, if it actually comes to fruition. But I thought yours was the only loss that was going to be a part of the series. I am attempting to record one with Craig Karmazin and Mark Chimura around the Fail Mary. Because we also did a thing, and at the time in Milwaukee, we did a thing called the Techteriors Takeover. I don't even know if Techteriors is around anymore. But we redid a guy's man cave.
Yeah,
and Craig
I remember that.
spent the night at the dude's house. And the Packers game it was kind of all built around was the Monday night game, which ended up being the Fail Mary. So some different experiences that Craig suggested he could talk about. So yeah, believe it or not, the founder and CEO of Good Karma Brands is a busy guy and, can't just take time out of his day to do, a half-hour podcast or a little bit longer, in the case of you and me, which comes out on Wednesday around the 2007 Packers-Cowboys game. But yeah, we've had a lot. So that's the other loss that's a part of the series. But a lot of teammates from across Good Karma Brands. We've got Kyle Wallace, Tori Lowe from The Truth that are going to be a part of it. Vince Vetrano, Steve Scafidi from WTMJ that are going to be a part of that have been a part of this series. So it's we've got one coming out every Wednesday leading up to the first week of the regular season. So we kind of planned out to do a 10-week run-up to the regular season around some of just the random regular season games that I kind of popped into my head and I thought had a little bit of meaning and be fun to talk about. So we've been able to do that for the last handful of weeks, and we're going to continue to do it all the way up to the regular season.
God, the Fail Mary game, I just remember going into the locker room, the visitors' locker room at, I think it was Quest Field at the time. It's had like a bunch of different names. And Lumen, I think it is now. I remember going in there, and those guys, for some reason, we got in there earlier than we normally do. Like, I don't know if just everybody was so pissed that they kind of forgot the clock in terms of when to let us in. But we get in there.
Well, because there was so much confusion at the end of the game, too.
Right,
like,
guys
did they have to kick the extra point? Yeah,
right.
Did they have to kick the extra point? Like, people had to come back out onto the field because at that point in the NFL, you had to still kick the extra point, even though there were zeros on the clock and the game was already essentially over.
And so I remember getting in there, and some guys had showered. Some guys were already on their way to the shower. But they had the old – because, again, this was 2012. And, oh, by the way, that game, along with losing on the road in the finale at Minnesota to allow the Vikings into the playoffs, those are the two losses that if they only lose one of those two games, they don't have to go to San Francisco, and they have a first-round bye in that playoff season. And the 49ers, as we all know, installed the read option stuff with Colin Kaepernick that week for that game. So those losses were the difference between having Colin Kaepernick run all over you and them not even having enough time to install a lot of that because they would have had a game that week instead of having a bye. But I remember going into the locker room, and they had the old school square TVs. They had not upgraded. In Seattle, which is kind of a techie town.
I would think so.
Old school square CRT televisions, and guys throwing water bottles, some empty, some half empty, towels after they were done drying themselves off, throwing stuff at the television when ESPN showed the replays of the call by that jackwagon replacement official in the end zone, whose name I won't mention.
Attaboy.
He's such a charlatan. But, like, they had not seen it. So it is a rare opportunity to be there, the fly almost literally on the wall, seeing these guys react authentically to something they have not yet seen, and the anger and the expletives that were being shouted at and thrown at the television verbally, along with the objects that were being thrown physically, like nothing I've ever seen. It was incredible.
Reacting to Golden Tate catching, not the football, but MD Jennings.
And then the fact that guy capitalized on his infamy will forever irritate me. But be that as it may, that's not what we're talking about. But you can check out that Repackables sometime down the road when Craig and Chewy and Gabe are able to get ready for that. But mine with Gabe, talking about Aaron Rodgers' 2007 performance in Texas Stadium in Dallas, will begin being available next Wednesday.
Next Wednesday at noon. Just follow at ESPN Milwaukee, at ESPN Madison on Twitter, or subscribe if you want the ESPN Milwaukee or ESPN Madison YouTube pages.
So our teammate Tony Cartagena had a conversation with A.J. Dillon earlier this week, and Willie's got a clip that I want to play coming up next from that conversation, because I irritated some fans by interpreting something that we had a very long clip from A.J. Dillon talking about his friend Jordan Love recently, and I made the observation, and that's all it was an observation, that in a nearly 2-minute soliloquy about his good friend, at no point did I hear A.J. Dillon talk about all the things he does well in terms of actual football talent. And I'm not trying to be a jerk about it. I hope people understand that about me. But when it comes to Jordan Love, how often do we hear people talking about his skill set? I'll ask Gabe that, and we'll hear from A.J. Dillon in his conversation with Tony. Next, it's Wilde and Tausch.
This is Wilde and Tausch, driven by Zimbrick Chevrolet in Sun Prairie on 100.5 ESPN. See their full inventory at ZimbrickChevrolet.com.
Mark Tauscher here, and our family, we have been looking to make the switch to solar for quite some time now, and we weren't even really sure where to start. And then we met the team over at Everlight Solar, and from the very first conversation, they have kept the process simple while also educating us on the benefits of solar. And man, are we happy we did. Not only are we saving a ton of money, but we're also creating a greener environment for our family and the whole community. Learn more at everlightsolar.com and schedule a no-cost consultation today.
Are you dreaming of a new look? Let the pros at 5 Star Painting bring color to your world, to your interior, exterior, cabinets, and more. We make it easy with online scheduling, free on-site estimates, and a dedicated project manager on every job. Uneasy about hiring a contractor? We know, we've been there. 5 Star Painting is customer-focused and quality-driven, exceeding expectations every time. Call or visit 5starpainting.com today. 5 Star Painting, a neighborly company.
In a world where hunger strikes like a monster, there's only one place to turn. Pasquale's Cantina. Here to save the day with the biggest, baddest, and most delicious dishes, like the Arizona Ranch Pizzeria, a crisp flour tortilla with grilled fajita chicken, Jones Cherrywood smoked bacon, barbecue sauce, cheddar jack cheese, spiced ranch, and scallions. All served like a pizza. Don't destroy the city. Tame your appetite at Pasquale's.
Bringing the flavors of the Southwest to the Midwest. Pasquale's Cantina.
Oh, you forgot to clean out your backpack since school ended? Oh, rotten.
Let's make our windows.
Well, you make a great point. Tell you what, let's clean out your backpack and then we'll...
Kajinatawa from Pella.
Well, we can't do anything about rotten lunches. Pella's lifetime warranty on wood windows and doors makes it so that you'll never have to worry about rotting windows again. Right now at Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin, make payments as low as $35 per month per window and $78 per patio door. Visit PellaWI.com.
A new era of Wisconsin football is here. A special edition of the Great Dane Huddle, live from Big Ten Media Days in Indianapolis.
We're taking the show on the road. Hey, it's Alex Strofe. Join me and Colin Russo this Thursday night at 6 for a special edition of the Great Dane Huddle, live from Big Ten Media Days at Lucas Oil Stadium in Indianapolis. Interviews, commentary, and more ahead of Wisconsin's opener on September 2nd against Buffalo to kick off the new era.
Thursday at 6 on 100.5 ESPN.
Listen to Madison Money Guy every Saturday morning at 7 a.m. on 100.5 ESPN and ESPNWisconsin.com.
I like to refer to inflation as the silent killer. It's an invisible risk. It's just the idea that things get more expensive over time. You're going to need milk and eggs when you're in your early 60s and when you're in your early 80s. You're going to get a loaf of bread, and it's going to be more expensive 20 years from now.
Christian Finfrock is the Madison Money Guy. Call him today at 208-1800.
Matt Hamilton here for Iron Jock. Believe it or not, being an Olympic curler takes a lot of practice time on the ice. And despite always being cool, I still work up a sweat. That's why I love Iron Jock and their no-stink technology. Silver Iron technology is the how behind why it works, and that is about as technical as I can get with it. What I do know is that if I'm on the ice or just wanting to look good, I know Iron Jock has t-shirts, polos, and hoodies for me. Support this Wisconsin-based company today and get gear at ironjoc.com. That's ironjoc.com.
Good Karma Brands is proud to be an equal opportunity employer. Our policy is to provide equal opportunity employment, development, and advancement to all current and potential teammates. If you are an organization that maintains a job bank, provides employment information, or gives job referrals, you may request to be placed on the station's mailing list for future career opportunities. To learn more about careers at Good Karma Brands, please email careers@goodkarmabrands.com.
Watch every ESPN Madison show live every day. Subscribe to ESPN Madison on YouTube for live video of every show and exclusive content. Just search ESPN Madison.
Josie's on a vacation far away. Come around and talk it over. just want to use your love tonight.
Continuing with Gabe Neitzel as our cousin sub of the day. Cousin subs, we believe better. How are you holding up?
Oh, we're doing great.
Yeah?
Yeah, yesterday, so we're doing 5 consecutive hours right now, Jason, but yesterday I did my show in the morning. We recorded our Repackables, as you mentioned. Gets released next Wednesday at noon on ESPN Milwaukee, ESPN Madison Twitter handles. I then did Canty and Carlin from 2 until 6, and right after that we had GKW, Good Karma Wrestling, each and every Thursday on those same social media channels, talking about all the latest things in professional wrestling.
And how long does the wrestling pod video, whatever you want to call that program, last? Hour
a little
plus?
a little over an hour usually. I think yesterday was around an hour 5, hour 10.
What'd you break down on the wrestling front?
We got a lot of things going on right now, Jason. LA Knights trying to get over in WWE despite not getting much of a push. There were some title changes.
Wait,
on
LA Knights? Is that a tag team? Is that a person?
That's a person, single person. LA Knight, yeah.
Okay.
That's one of the things that he does. There were some title changes that we talked about, women's tag team wrestling being one of them.
I love that, yeah.
And we talked about a tag team that's probably going to be breaking up in AEW called Better Than You, Baby.
Better Than You, Baby.
Yeah.
Is Hacksaw Jim Duggan and the Honky Tonk Man, is that who makes up Better Than You, Baby? Is that
no? Adam Cole and MJF, Maxwell Jacob Friedman.
No, I'm not familiar with their work. All right.
Okay.
So if anybody wants to check that out, I'm not one of them. Where would they find that?
They can find it, again, on the social media pages for ESPN Milwaukee, ESPN Madison. If you want to listen to the podcast, that's available at WisconsinOnDemand.com.
Okay. Enjoy. All right, so speaking of things I enjoy, our old teammate is new again. It's great to have Tony Cartagena back. He was the first producer of this show, and now he's over on our WTMJ team. And he had a conversation with A.J. Dillon. And among the things that they talked about was Jordan Love and the respect that he has in the locker room. Here is A.J. Dillon with Tony C.
I know everybody's always going to have their opinion. Everybody does, and they're entitled to them. But, that's just the way it is. That's the starting QB. He's going to go out there, and the rest of the team is going to follow him out there, out of the tunnel, and, onto the field. And so, that said, I'd say the vast majority of people are rooting for him. I know the entire team is rooting for him and everybody on the team and the organization. But for any fans who aren't sure, I'm telling you, he's earned it. He's earned it, and he has to respect everybody in the locker room. So I definitely think, we're gonna do great.
So again, he's talking about respect. He's talking about how much his teammates like him and are going to rally around him and support him, and those are all true and great. And I haven't listened to the entirety of Tony's conversation with him, but I did talk to A.J. Dillon during the offseason program. I've heard him do other interviews where he's talked about how everyone would run through a wall for Jordan. Those are all great. Have you, I'm honestly asking this, have you heard many people talking, players, coaches, talking about from a purely skill set, what he's doing in practice, the things he's done, what people have seen from him? Have you heard a lot of people talk about that during the course of this offseason leading into quarterbacks, rookies, and players coming off injury reporting to training camp today?
No. It's a simple no. And the reason why I'm interested in it, so many Packer fans are interested in it, is because we don't have that many data points when it comes to Jordan Love.
Correct.
We have 3 realistic data points. Game he started in 2021 when Rodgers was out with COVID against the Kansas City Chiefs. Then he comes in and plays the second half, knows he's playing in the second half against the Lions at the end of the season. And then the 10 snaps he played against Philadelphia last year, which I'm not taking anything away from him. He looked very good in those 10 snaps, but it's 10 snaps. I'm sure if you go through, you can find 10 consecutive snaps where Zach Wilson looked really good, with the Jets, and they decided he's not good enough to be their starting quarterback right now. Like 10 snaps is just not a large enough data point to prove that this is the dude that is going to be ready. So we're looking for any signs of improvement. as Packer fan, I'm looking for any sign, and I'm going to dissect everything that everybody says because I don't know that much about Jordan Love. And Jason, you have admitted that you don't know as much as you would like to know about Jordan Love, the football player, because you guys are limited in how much you get to watch practice, whether that's the off-season stuff, whether that's in-season. It's just everything's a lot more limited now. So when I hear Matt LaFleur talk about Jordan Love growing and maturing in every facet as a person, that doesn't have much to do. And then in the same breath, he's going, and we have to manage our expectations for our offense this year with Jordan Love. Okay, that's interesting. As much as Brian Gutekunst wants to stand up in front of a microphone and say expectations don't change in Green Bay, but then you hedge your bet by not giving Jordan Love the fully guaranteed fifth-year option on his rookie deal and then doing this half-measure contract where you give yourself an escape hatch. And look, he would probably have to be incredibly terrible in order for him not to be back in 2024. But you did give yourself that escape hatch, showing that, well, you probably aren't 100% confident in what Jordan Love is if you're Brian Gutekunst. And I don't want to make it seem like it's a bad thing that his teammates are ready to run through a wall for him.
No, that's great.
Or, these are really good things. But they're only really good things if he's also a good quarterback. Like, that's what it comes down to. Now, I have no idea how good Jordan Love is because nobody's really talking about it. He's doing the right things. He's getting players together. He's trying to develop chemistry with Romeo Doubs, which is something that Romeo's talked about this offseason. But in terms of somebody going, oh, man, you can't believe this throw that he made today. Oh, man, when you see this guy and the way he controls a game, the way he can just fit the ball through tight windows, the way he just has a complete control and understanding of the offense, that hasn't been part of the conversation that I've heard from teammates and coaches. It just hasn't.
Yeah, and frankly, I've talked about a throw more than I'm guessing anyone has, right? I've probably spent more time talking about that throw to Watson inside the Hudson Center during the mandatory minicamp when he cooked Jair Alexander. I've probably talked about that more than anyone else on the planet. With the amount of times that I'm on our different shows and the 3 hours a day on this show, that was a moment that stuck out because I had been saying that, you know, I've seen him make some good throws. I've seen him make some very good throws. I've seen him make a lot of bad throws. I've seen him make throws that weren't that impressive but are the kind of throws that you have to make as a quarterback. But I hadn't seen very many wow throws. And I did. I literally said the words out loud. I was standing on the sideline by myself because I'm talking to other people and I don't stay focused, so I have to separate myself.
I'm learning, Jason, that you're not a very good multitasker. That's what I've learned about that. I mean, you've got the TVs that are a distraction in the Everlight Solar Studios there in Madison for you. If you're talking with Demo during practice, that's going to be a distraction for you up in Green Bay.
Yeah. So right now in the Formula One race that I'm watching, I don't know who's in front. But my point is that throw, I've talked about it a ton because it was a thing of beauty. It was absolutely perfect. And I talked to Christian Watson afterward about the importance of replicating that over and over and over again this season. But I have not heard many people other than pundits who, quite frankly, aren't at the practices, right? Oh, there's a quiet confidence about how good Jordan Love is going to be, right? I heard Adam Schefter say that earlier this week. We've heard Dan Orlovsky talking about. I'll be honest, I don't know how. I've been to more practices than Dan Orlovsky and Adam Schefter combined. Dan Orlovsky played quarterback in the league. He knows far more about playing quarterback than I do, but I have actually seen this guy practice in person. And I have not heard people talking about how good he does this, that, and the next thing. I'm not saying that he can't be good at those things. And I do feel like there's a small army of Jordan Love supporters that if you say things like this, they get really irritated with you.
Well, but here's the thing, Jason. It's not negative. I want information. Give me information. I'm not saying you specifically, just anyone, anybody out there. Give me more specifics as to why I should be excited for Jordan Love in 2023 as a Packer fan.
And this is why I can't wait for practice next week. Because I would love, pardon the pun, to come on the next morning, practice is Wednesday. I talk to you at 7:15 on Jen, Gabe, and Chewy on 94.5 ESPN Milwaukee on Thursday mornings, unless, of course, Mike McCarthy and I are walking the grounds. And I would love to come on, and I would love to, on Wednesday when I'm doing the show live, because practice starts at 10:30, and I'll be doing the show from the sideline. I would love to be telling you what a great throw I just saw him make. I would love to be talking about how his arm strength looked so good today, or his accuracy was so good today. I want to do that because I know Packers fans want to hear that, but I also want to tell them the truth. And if I don't see that, I can't tell them that. And that's why I think it's noteworthy that you don't hear a lot of buzz from whether it's LaFleur talking after practice, whether it's these players who are doing interviews. It's why you don't hear them talking about what he actually does with the football. Now, could that change this summer? Yes, and I hope so. I can't say it enough. But I do think you have to be in tune with not just what you hear, but what you don't hear. And that's not with an agenda against Jordan Love. Even if you have an agenda pro Jordan Love, God bless you. Good. Probably means you're a Packers fan or related to him. If I'm saying it and I'm not talking about those things, it's not because I don't want to see them it's because I haven't seen enough to want to talk about those things. And I think it's noteworthy that a lot of these other interviews that you've heard throughout the offseason have not really focused on what he does from a skill set perspective. That's where I stand. There's a couple other things I want to get to as we look at the Packers by position. And among them is what's going on at running back, but also from a conversation that Brian Bulaga and I had yesterday, what's going on the offensive line. Because that is supposed to be a strength. And Brian made a good point that I want to bounce off of Gabe coming up next. Want to remind you, Packers season and Packers training camp are right around the corner, and Associated Bank is the official bank of the Packers. They've been there since the Packers began, way back in 1919. And if you sign up for Packers Checking, you get all kinds of great perks, including 10% off at the Packers Pro Shop, both online and in-store. And you get your nifty debit MasterCard with the Packers logo and all kinds of other perks. So check out AssociatedBank.com/Packers to find out more. We'll talk a little more about the Packers and their offensive line situation next. It's Wilde and Tausch.
This is Wilde and Tausch, brought to you by Grassland Butter. Grassland Dairy is Wisconsin. Learn more at grasslandbutter.com. Rah. Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin present your Badger Minute. Here's Alex Strofe.
Big trailers and big opportunities at Stoughton Trailers. Immediate openings at the Broadhead, Evansville, and Stoughton locations. Assemblers, forklift drivers, and more. Apply at stojobs.com. Former Wisconsin running back Melvin Gordon and many other NFL running backs are expressing their displeasure with NFL franchises and their treatment of the running back position. Gordon, who's currently a free agent, joined Wilde and Tausch last week to talk about the state of the running back position in the NFL.
You know, at this point in time, we're the ones that's getting filtered out. We making the same as long snappers and kickers, and and it really sucks because you got college students making more than guys in the league.
Find the full interview with Melvin Gordon on Wisconsin On Demand or wherever you get your podcasts.
Pella's window and door design options are virtually limitless. Customize your order by August 31st and you could bundle and save big at PellaWI.com.
To those who've ever dreamt of their perfect event, those dreams are worthy and they are possible. Hi, it's Jeffrey from Celebrations Entertainment. With hard work, passion, and great music, we will make your event dreams a reality. Every event is a labor of love with one-on-one planning, customization, and flawless execution. Bringing your event to life is what we do. For a fun, memorable event, visit celebrationsentertainment.com. That's celebrationsentertainment.com.
The time for t-shirt weather is here, and so is the time to sign up for a new membership at Prairie Athletic Club. Enjoy everything the Pack has to offer indoor and outdoors this summer, including access to Dolphins Cove Water Park and the new Prairie Pines Golf Club in Sun Prairie. Summer memberships are now available, but if you're not ready to join yet, not a problem, as guests are welcome daily. Call, stop by, or visit prairieathletic.com. Prairie Athletic Club, family, fun, and community.
Mark Tauscher here to tell you a little bit more about Everlight Solar. We all know that electricity costs are on the rise. That's why you need to talk to my friends over at Everlight Solar. Their local team here in Madison is here to keep it simple. From your no-cost consultation to solar panel installation, the team at Everlight Solar will be with you every step of the way. Not only will they help you save money, but by switching to solar, you're also helping save the planet. Everlight Solar, a proud partner of Wisconsin Athletics. Check them out at everlightsolar.com.
Oh, you forgot to clean out your backpack since school ended? Oh, rotten.
Let's make our windows.
Well, you make a great point. Tell you what, let's clean out your backpack and then we'll...
from Pella.
While we can't do anything about rotten lunches, Pella's lifetime warranty on wood windows and doors makes it so that you'll never have to worry about rotting windows again. Right now at Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin, make payments as low as $35 per month per window and $78 per patio door. Visit PellaWI.com.
I suffered with knee pain for almost 4 to 5 years. I wanted to have the conformis after looking at all the different options. I think having the surgery with the ortho team is the only way to go. They all look out for you as a patient. After the surgery, my life changed dramatically. It's so much easier to do the everyday things in life and just the things that we like to do as a family. And my wife told me, she says, now I can't keep up with you anymore.
Learn more at orthoteam.com.
Since 1956, Holman Lindsay Paints has been making paint in Wisconsin for Wisconsin. Because of their commitment to making great paint for Wisconsinites, Holman Lindsay has grown over the years to 26 locations in this great state. Headquarters in Sun Prairie with a state-of-the-art facility, Holman Lindsay has the paint you need to make your job better. From do-it-yourself to professional, Holman Lindsay has paint for everyone. Visit one of their local locations today in Madison, Sun Prairie, Middleton, and Janesville.
Wilde and Tausch on 100.5 ESPN is brought to you by Everlight Solar. Save money, save the planet. Everlight Solar.
Gabe and I were last together in person at Summerfest, along with Alex Strofe, who, by the way, I don't know if he's in the studio anymore. He had some sort of meeting this morning. He was in a sport coat.
What?
Wow.
He looked fantastic. I mean, he's a handsome fella. I say that in the nicest possible way, and I'm not suggesting that he doesn't look nice otherwise, but his default setting is similar to mine. Shorts and a hoodie or a pullover. And he was all dressed up when he let me in the Spark building, and I was impressed. He looked great. Anyway, he did not look so great the last time I saw him previously, which was at Summerfest with you inside the ESPN Madison mobile studios as we did the State of the Packers, because we really dragged him down, man. Right?
We did drag him down. Yes. He wanted to leave our State of the Packers show, which if you happen to miss it, download it, WisconsinOnDemand.com or wherever you get your podcasts. He wanted to leave that experience with us, I think, feeling really good about the Packers.
Yeah.
And he left feeling definitely not optimistic about the 2023 team, because we pointed out a lot of the questions that exists within this roster and this team.
And so after making him feel that way, I felt bad. After yesterday, I felt even worse, because we had Brian Bulaga as our cousin sub of the day for Tausch. And Brian Bulaga had, as a former NFL offensive lineman who played for over a decade, he did not have very encouraging words about the offensive line past the left side of David Bakhtiari at left tackle and Elton Jenkins at left guard. And quite frankly, the offensive line, while we did point out on that program, and again, if you missed the State of the Packers, I really enjoyed it. We're going to do 3 hours next year. It is the show that launched 1,000 other appearances for me on these radio airwaves. Bill Johnson and I used to do the show at Summerfest. It was the show before the show that was Wilde and Tausch. It was before Green and Gold Today / Lambeau Live, which is what that show was called for about 3 days before we got a cease and desist letter from the Packers.
Whoops.
But we didn't have a negative tack on the offensive line when we talked. And that's what happened yesterday. Here is Brian Balaga, Iowa, talking about the Packers from an offensive line perspective beyond left guard and left tackle.
To me, it's the biggest question mark on offense. Like, I get it. It's Jordan Love. He's new quarterback and all that. But, like, Jordan Love is going to struggle if those guys in front of him don't perform. And that's just the way it's going to go. Like, it's hard to make a really good evaluation of Jordan Love if 3 out of the 5 guys, especially the whole right side of the offensive line, is having a hard go at it, game in and game out. Like, that's really hard because you're changing protections, you're changing schemes, you're really having to alter things in the offense to account for that. So the development of those 3 guys this offseason and the training camp into the season is something that I'm going to be looking out.
So, first of all, I thought Brian was awesome yesterday talking about offensive line play. You know, and I, as I said to him, we've got Tausch, we got Joe Thomas, who's going to be a cousin sub coming up for Tausch next week. I get to be surrounded by some great offensive linemen who are also great at talking about playing the position. Look, I kind of took it as, yeah, we're going to say that Josh Myers and John Runyon Jr. and Yash are competing, and maybe Zach Tom will come in and take one of their spots in camp. But we kind of feel like who our starting 5 are. So, yeah, those 3 jobs are open to competition, but we don't anticipate changing. And listening to Brian, and look, he was nice about it, but he did not sound very impressed with Josh Myers. And if they make some changes, and this is what I wanted to get to with you, Gabe, there's one more position that we thought didn't have all that much uncertainty that will now have uncertainty as well. 13 guys are on the roster from last year on the offensive line back this year. Now, Royce Newman and Sean Ryan and some of the guys that spent time on the practice squad didn't play. But, hey, if they're truly going to have competition and they don't know if Zach Tom's going to be a starter and they don't know if Royce Newman can overtake Runyon and they don't know if they'd rather have Yash or Zach Tom at right tackle, maybe things aren't quite as settled as we want them to be there, and maybe that's one more thing that Jordan Love has to worry about.
Which is a little unnerving because you're heading into this season going, okay, wide receiver and tight end are such big question marks, as is the quarterback position, but what's a quarterback's best friend? The running game, the offensive line, the running backs, it's going to be fine. They're going to be able to run the ball. They're going to run the ball more because those 2 things are just going to carry the day offensively. And if you have uncertainty along that offensive line, it's not great. Not great. Not even just from they'll be able to run the ball, but the best point that he makes is if that right side and plus center, so basically everybody but the left guard and left tackle, if those 3 positions struggle, it's going to be really hard to know what you have in Jordan Love, which is what, to me, 2023 is mostly about as a Packers fan, is how good is Jordan Love? And if I can't make an accurate assessment on what that is, if Brian Gutekunst and Matt LaFleur can't make an accurate assessment of what that looks like because the offensive line can't hold up, yikes. I would feel worse about, again, I think I'm a person who thinks the Packers have 6 or 7 wins in them, and I'm okay with that because I think they're going to be growing by the end of the season. I think it's a young roster that needs time to grow together.
Green and growing.
Shout out to the Bucks. And if I'm excited about at the end of 23 about what potentially could be coming in 24, I'm going to look at that as a successful season.
Sure.
But if the offensive line can't find a way to be stable, it's going to be tough to get past the growing pains to the point where you're then excited about where this offense is headed.
And there was one thing that happened this offseason from a media perspective or from a story perspective, because wasn't irritated with Matt Schneidman for writing it. But in that piece that Matt Schneidman did in The Athletic, where he talked to Aaron Rodgers at length and Goody was sort of on the record, but not really. The one time that Goody's on the record, he's basically chalking up Jordan Love's poor performance against the Chiefs in 2021 to a bad game plan and bad protection. Which, I'll be honest, the conversation I had with Jordan Love in the hallway outside the locker room in late November, early December after the Philly game, and I asked him about that Kansas City game and where he was now compared to then, and he admitted he did not play well enough. He played like blank, quote. And I respected the hell out of him for saying that. And instead, it felt like Goody in that piece with Matt Schneidman was making excuses for that performance. We didn't have a good game plan for him. We didn't protect him well enough. Well, Jordan felt that at least you protected him well enough that he should have played better than he did. So, extrapolate that out, and if this offensive line, which is supposed to be a strength, turns out to not be a strength, which is kind of what Brian was hinting at yesterday, Brian Bulaga, not Brian Gutekunst, now you start to worry about that as well. And again, I'm not trying to be Chicken Little. Go into training camp with as much optimism as you want. I'm just saying when Brian Bulaga says some of the things he said yesterday, at the very least, it should give you a little bit of pause about the offensive line.
I do feel pretty good that they're going to have a good 5 out there at the start of the season. Like I like the things that Zach Tom has shown. Mm-hmm. I like what Yosh Nijman has shown. I think Runyon is certainly going to be the starter at right guard. Center seems to be the biggest question mark. But if Zach Tom overtakes that position, okay, cool. Now that kind of leaves you with less versatility than maybe you'd like if somebody gets hurt because Zach Tom has been the jack-of-all-trades guy over the last season. But I do have confidence that somewhere within that room they're going to be able to put out 5 very capable starters.
I'm really eager to see what happens with Zach Tom because it is an incredible luxury to have a guy that can play all 5 positions that no matter who gets hurt, you can put him in. The problem with that is if he's one of your best 5, he needs to be on the field. If he's better than somebody that's starting, and then if you have to juggle with your replacements, then you have to juggle with your replacements. We'll kick off the 11 o'clock hour by discussing some of the Repackables podcasts that Gabe has done, and I am going to put into the field with the video what Aaron Rodgers said to the Jets media that we were talking about earlier in the show. We'll circle back to that. Plus, we'll have our Steinhoffel's Sleepers of Training Camp and some Wooly before we have Feel Good Friday. That's all still ahead in the 11 o'clock hour, which starts in 2 minutes. So stick around. It's Wilde and Tausch.
Don't go anywhere. Another hour of Wilde and Tausch, presented by Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin, is coming up next on ESPN Wisconsin, the ESPN app, and Wisconsin On Demand.
Mark Tauscher here to tell you a little bit more about Everlight Solar. We all know that electricity costs are on the rise. That's why you need to talk to my friends over at Everlight Solar. Their local team here in Madison is here to keep it simple. From your no-cost consultation to solar panel installation, the team at Everlight Solar will be with you every step of the way. Not only will they help you save money, but by switching to solar, you're also helping save the planet. Everlight Solar, a proud partner of Wisconsin Athletics. Check them out at everlightsolar.com.
Hi, this is Dave Kane. You're listening to Madison's Home of the Bucks, a good Karma brand radio station, 100.5 ESPN WTLX, Monona, Madison.
Broadcasting live from the Everlight Solar Studio, this is your Metro Kia of Madison Sports Center.
Good morning, Madison. I'm Ryan Wallersheim, and this is your Sports Center update brought to you by 5 Star Painting, your residential and commercial professional painters for interiors, exteriors, kitchen cabinets, decks, fences, and fences. Check them out at 5starpainting.com. A.J. Dillon joined Good Karma Brands' Tony Cartagena the other day. He sat down to talk about the Packers heading into the 2023 training camp and also talked about his friend and teammate Jordan Love and what he expects from him this coming season and his first year as the team's starting quarterback.
I know everybody's always going to have their opinion. Everybody does, and they're entitled to them. But, you know, that's just the way it is. That's the starting QB. He's going to go out there, and the rest of the team is going to follow him out there, out of the tunnel. For any fans who aren't sure, I'm telling you, he's earned it. He's earned it, and he has to respect everybody in the locker room. So
can stay up to date on all things green and gold heading into training camp over at ESPNWisconsin.com. The Milwaukee Brewers won 2 out of 3 from the Phillies this week. They now open a new 3-game series against the Atlanta Braves. The Braves, the number 1 team in the MLB record-wise, it's 62-33 on the season. Brewers 2.5 games ahead of the Reds. That game starts tonight at 7:10 p.m. out in Atlanta.
Metro Kia of Madison, Madison's trusted Kia dealer. Stop into Metro Kia on the east side of Madison or metrokiaofmadison.com.
Hour.
Doing some calisthenics? What's going on over there? Get those knees up.
High knees.
You'll make this flight, you got to run like a man.
So, all right. I could have sworn I saw you yawning.
Me?
Yeah, you. You're fighting it. You're kind of doing
well, so part of the
Tell the
problem
truth.
is, Jason,
yes or no? Was I right about that?
Probably, because here's the problem.
Thank you for your honesty.
I'm my own worst enemy, right? Like I knew I have 5 hours of, I did my show this morning right into this. I explained I had a lot of content that I was fortunate enough to be a part of yesterday.
You're a content creator.
Long day. I've woken up at 4 o'clock each of the last 2 days so I could watch the Open. Like, it's my second favorite golf tournament behind the Masters. There's something about being able to sit on my couch, enjoy some coffee, watching the final major championship of the year that I really enjoy. So I made sure that I was. Yeah, no, Georgia May was on the couch with me this morning. Yeah, she was on the couch with me this morning, hanging out.
Okay.
So, yeah, it's just one of those things where I absolutely love this tournament. So I've woken up earlier than I typically do the last 2 days so I could watch the golf. And, yeah, it might be catching up with me a little bit. Maybe I need a little refresh on the coffee from the coffee offerings we have here at ESPN Milwaukee.
So I'm sensitive to that because I have woken up much earlier than I normally have the last 2 days. Yesterday, got up at 5 so I could make sure I delivered Mike McCarthy's coffee somewhat on time. And then I spent all that time with him, and then we had a lot going on. And then Paula, the girls, the dogs, and I drove down bright and early this morning, so I was up at 5 again. Now, as I discussed with Brian Blaga, Awa, yesterday, he's still on, like, NFL player time. Like, he's still getting up 5, 5:30, 6 in the morning.
Is he still a little anxious right now? Like, even though he doesn't have a training camp to report to, is he a little anxious this week?
I think he's good now. I think, he's had the year out. His body has started to recover from football. But I always do the show standing up. If you watch the video stream on Twitter, Facebook, or YouTube, and you see me in the Wilde family basement studios where I have hoarded all of the stuff that Paula doesn't want strewn about the house otherwise, so bobbleheads, characters from Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer and the Island of Misfit Toys, all kinds of good stuff down there, right? Memorabilia, autographed UW Green Bay basketball signed by Dick and Tony Bennett. Great stuff. It's all in the background, but I'm always standing up because I feel like my energy is better.
Yeah.
And so now I've done 2 hours of this show, and I feel like I haven't been energetic enough. And then I saw you yawning, and I'm like, yep, I'm definitely not energetic enough. No, it's not the Open.
But it has nothing to do with you, Jason. It has absolutely nothing to do with you. It has everything to do with me and my insistence upon doing this to myself and getting a lack of sleep so I can watch golf on television.
I'm not letting you do that, Gabe, because as your teammate, as a leader, I have to do what you need me to do to get the best out of you despite your fatigue. And my energy wasn't high enough. But here's the problem. And I had Maddie, who handles social media. She's great. I love her even though I don't love social media. I had her come in here. Wooly has no answers for me either. But these microphones, from what I can tell, I can't raise them up.
No, you cannot.
I have them at their maximum height. And look, I'm not a tall guy, right? Poor Sydney. The chances of her being a big point guard, not high.
Not great.
Short ex-gymnast mom, short sports writer dad. She's gonna have to.
Sorry, kid.
She's gonna have to figure out a way to create space for her. Step backs, really good handle. She's gonna have to create space for her shot. When she drives to the basket, she's gonna have to turn her body. She's gonna have to be able to put her body against that defender, because she struck out on the genetics of height. Feel like maybe she got some smarts from the two of us, and athleticism from Paula, no doubt. But my point is that I need to stand, and now I'm kind of doing this like hunched over deal.
Yeah, it's unfortunately that is with the new studios we have here as well. I think we have the same microphones. They're not conducive to. Yeah, if you really want to stand up, the only person who'd probably be able to get away with it is my co-host Jen Latta. Like, I think she'd be able to do it. Other than that, the rest of us, maybe Greg Scalzo, the rest of us, we're not in a great spot.
Well, I'm loosening up. I'm limbering up, doing some leg kicks and that sort of thing. But I did put, and Wooly, I want you to, what do they call this? Re-racking it. I want you to play that Rogers clip again for me. Can you do that for me?
Oh, I sure can.
Because I did do the screen grab video feature on my iPhone so people could hear the entirety on social media, because I know everybody likes to listen to the show either live or on podcast. But I did think it was really interesting that someone who struggles mightily, it sure seems like, to say he was wrong about something. I thought that this minute 43 or whatever it was, I thought it was an acknowledgement that he has some regrets. And I feel like that was important to hear. But if I was a Packers fan, I would also say, well, it would have been nice if you'd maybe figured that out before you were playing for the New York Jets, and you figured it out while you were still playing for the Packers. Here again is what Aaron Rodgers said yesterday in his press conference as the Jets kicked off their training camp.
Alan was talking a little bit about how when he met you in Green Bay, you were a little bit more like, this has to be done this way. You're taking a little bit of a slower approach because of how many new pieces are there. Has that been a challenge for you to kind of be a little bit laid off more?
I feel like I've grown a lot over the years. Now, some of that is the well-documented plant medicine journeys that I've talked about, but the other is perspective. As you get older, you see things a little bit clearer, I think. Hindsight is 20/20. Try and rectify some of the things that you did a certain way that you feel like you could have done better. I think it's always important to have patience in shorts and helmets, have patience the first few days of camp. Sometimes some patients can wear thin if it's repeat mistakes, but we're just building this thing right now. We want to build it the right way. And yeah, I would say maybe earlier in my career I was a little more easily angered, and I feel like I'm a little less triggered as I've gotten older.
So by earlier in his career, he means, the first 19 years, right?
Well, it wasn't his first 3 years because he wasn't playing.
Okay, fair enough.
So earlier in his career, last year was earlier in his career than it is now, right? So
Correct.
Technically last year would be, look, I didn't expect him to go full regrets. I've got a few, and like I outlined all my grievances like it was Festivus when I came to training camp in 2021. I'm not going to outline all my regrets here, but you guys will get the gist. And as I suspected, this has gotten a lot of response on social media when I tweeted it out. And I want to read a couple of these and get your reaction to the reactions, okay?
All right.
First one from Tyler. Move on already, Jason Wilde. Okay. We've all moved on. This is germane. I even tried to have I try to be judicious with how much we talk about Aaron Rodgers. I understand. I mean, this is interesting.
Well, and here's the thing, Jason.
Tyler.
I did this yesterday on Canty and Carlin because anytime I happen to fill in on one of those shows, we inevitably get back to the Packers. We talked a little bit about Aaron Rodgers because this clip was out there by the time I did Canty and Carlin yesterday afternoon. And because we've been through this once with Brett Favre, and now it's even a little bit different because social media has changed so much from 2008 to 2023. I feel like Aaron Rodgers is the X where you're like publicly and talking to your friends, we're over it. I'm focused on me right now. I'm just focused on the Green Bay Packers and what they can do in 2023. But when my head hits the pillow at night and I open Instagram, yeah, you're going to scroll and see what she's up to. Like, I have a hard time believing that every Packer fan out there is just going to be able to completely ignore what's going on with Aaron Rodgers, because again, Aaron Rodgers is always going to be used as an example of, well, Rodgers did this last year, what is Love going to do this year? Last year this was Rodgers, this year it's Love. Like, it's always going to be there. The comparison is just going to be there, at least for the first part of the season, if not for the entire season. And if Jordan Love is good enough and time separates him from Aaron Rodgers, then we don't focus on it in 2024. But it's going to be there as a point of comparison because Rodgers has been the starting quarterback for the last 14, 15 seasons.
A couple of other responses that I want to get to. Packer Papa sure seems like he has some regrets. I'll be honest, that's how I took it. Now, maybe I just am inclined to think the best of people, and sometimes I get burned by that. David, on the other hand, and this is why Rodgers is and will always be a total Rorschach test. Because if you already dislike him, then you hear it through that filter. And if you kind of like him or you're open to still feeling okay about him, then you hear it through that filter. David, I feel he is creating a narrative that will make him look better in the end, as always. PJ, it's understandable. He's going to play more focused and motivated this year, and that's understandable. If he's the MVP, it was still the right decision to move on. That being said, I hope he realizes that being so allergic to any criticism the last decade was not productive. And I thought that was an interesting point, because I am curious if there are going to be times when, we keep hearing New York media, New York media, New York media. Well, he put himself, as he likes to say, in the crosshairs with some of how he handled things the last couple of years, and he took a lot of criticism, and he didn't take it well, right? So I'll be curious if they're in a tough division, they're in a tough conference. There are going to be some challenges for them. There'll be different challenges than the ones that the Packers and Jordan Love face, but I'm interested to see how he handles them. One last one that I thought was interesting from our old buddy, the Packer Ranter. If everyone reflected like this, the world would probably be a better place. Good for him. Or he could have gotten himself a PR coach, which, good for him. I don't want to say that Aaron Rodgers doesn't take coaching, because he certainly took coaching from, guys like Tom Clements and guys like Luke Getsy.
That was the first thing that stood out to me when we recorded our Repackables yesterday, Jason. If you happen to go back and watch the 2007 game where he first gets that extended time after Brett Favre gets hurt, like, he's so stiff. He's still a little stiff with the football. At some point, obviously, he took the coaching to have the fundamentals and everything else free up, so he certainly does take coaching. Now, whether or not he took coaching later in his career, that's, I think, certainly up for debate. But at some point in his career, he did accept and take the coaching of Mike McCarthy and Tom Clements.
So I don't know if he got coaching from a PR coach or not. I think that's probably unlikely. I think he would feel like, I don't need a coach on that department. I can handle this myself. I'm going to be me. I'm going to speak my truth. But the question becomes, is that him expressing real regret or real, even though he doesn't use the word, I was wrong, or not? I don't know. I want to believe that it is, and I'm going to choose to believe that it is. We'll get back to this year's team. For those of you that tune out when you're listening to conversations about Aaron Rodgers will not be among our Steinhoffel sleepers of training camp. I can guarantee you he will not be part of the conversation that Gabe and I will have next. It's Wilde and Tausch.
This is Wilde and Tausch, presented by Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. Call Gina Della from Pella today, 855-PELLA-WI, and online at PellaWI.com/radio.
Mark Tauscher here for Zimbrick Chevrolet in Sun Prairie, the name you can trust. As sports fans, we always hope our teams get to prove that they're the best at what they do. But guess who's proven over the last several years that they're a best of Madison car dealership? You got it. Zimbrick Chevrolet in Sun Prairie. Zimbrick's service team takes great care of my vehicle anytime I need to bring it in, for serious issues or just for routine maintenance, for tune-ups, battery checks, tire rotations, oil changes, and much, much more. They'll make sure all the inner workings of your vehicle are in tip-top shape so you don't get stranded on the side of the road. And of course, if you're in the market for a new or pre-owned vehicle, Zimbrick Chevrolet is the perfect place to start your search. Stop by the dealership or even begin the process online by logging on to ZimbrickChevrolet.com. There are always great offers to take advantage of each month. View inventory, schedule a service appointment, and learn more about all Zimbrick Chevrolet has to offer. Call or click at ZimbrickChevrolet.com. That's ZimbrickChevrolet.com. Zimbrick Chevrolet in Sun Prairie, the name you can trust.
If you're looking for a special piece of jewelry for any occasion, Condon Jewelers is always there for you. Condon Jewelers has the best selection of jewelry you'll ever find and guaranteed to have the lowest prices in the Madison area. Free shipping is always available. Visit CondonJeweler.com or call 241-3406 and ask for Jim, the owner, who's at the store every day. Shop locally. Condon Jewelers, the jeweler on the east side, the jeweler on your side.
Olson Toon has been customizing both residential and commercial outdoor living spaces since 1997. Matt Hamilton here from ESPN Madison. For over 50 years of combined experience in their management and design teams, Olson Toon has become one of Wisconsin's premier building and landscaping outdoor living firms. Landscaping and maintenance, irrigation, concrete work, pools, and more. If you have an outdoor living need, Olson Toon is here to help. Go to olsontoon.com to get started on your home project today. That's olsontoon.com.
What does summer sound like in a new Chevy? Find the best way to the ballpark with the Chevy Equinox navigation system. Load up the kayaks with room to spare in the spacious Chevy Trailblazer with 60/40 split folding rear seats. Haul out the camper and spend a night roasting marshmallows with the Chevy Silverado. Or feel the roar of the crowd and bring the whole crew along in the Chevy Traverse with seating for up to 8. So what are you waiting for? Click now and find summer happiness in a new Chevy. See your Badgerland Chevy dealer today. Traverse seating up to 8 standard and LS available on LT with second row bench seat, RS Premier, and High Country seat 7.
With over 25 years of experience, TLC Laser Eye Centers is a leader in LASIK. TLC has performed over 2.3 million LASIK procedures nationwide, including treatment for over 10,000 doctors and professional football player Kirk Cousins.
TLC Laser Eye Centers is a brand that's proven and can be trusted. This was not a procedure I wanted to cut corners on. I wanted to get the best quality and the best doctors and make sure that it was done to the highest level. And I felt that TLC was the brand that would do that, and so it made the decision easy for me and for my wife.
Come see why TLC is the doctor's choice for LASIK and the choice for Kirk Cousins. Right now, TLC Laser Eye Centers is offering $1,000 off LASIK when treated in July. That's $500 off per eye plus guaranteed financing. Visit saveontlc.com. Must mention this promotion and be treated in July of 2023 to qualify. $1,000 off for both eyes on standard wavelight price. $500 off for one eye. Cannot be combined with any other offers. See details at saveontlc.com.
To those who've ever dreamt of their perfect event, those dreams are worthy and they are possible. Hi, it's Jeffrey from Celebrations Entertainment. With hard work, passion, and great music, we will make your event dreams a reality. Every event is a labor of love with one-on-one planning, customization, and flawless execution. Bringing your event to life is what we do. For a fun, memorable event, visit celebrationsentertainment.com. That's celebrationsentertainment.com.
The biggest games play on Zimbrick Honda's Prep Mania.
Kick is blocked.
Here we go again.
We've got ourselves a tie ball game.
Live games return this fall on 100.5 ESPN and Wisconsin On Demand.
Follow me, everything is alright. I'll be the one to tuck you in at night. And if you want to leave, I can guarantee.
All right, I'm still standing up.
Attaboy.
But I'm hunched over, so I don't know how much it helps. Can you feel the energy, though?
I do. I feel like there's a little more pace in the way you're talking. I feel there's a little more volume in which the way you're talking. I feel, the energy is certainly there. And it's a strategy standing while you do the show. I know that a mutual friend of ours, former teammate here at ESPN Milwaukee, Alex Patakis, used to employ when he was one of the hosts here in Milwaukee as well.
Yeah, I bought a mic thing for our little studio in the basement. It cost me $20 on Amazon. It was a game changer for me. It forced me to stand up in our tiny little studio, which isn't actually that tiny. It's actually an old closet that we have in the basement that was actually pretty big until you put all my stuff in there, and it's not very big at all. Time now for our Steinhoffel Sleepers of training camp. Now, training camp does not begin today, and Wooly doesn't know this, but we will do this again on Wednesday when training camp actually starts. Our buddy Dan Kelly from AmFam always comes after they cut the ribbon on the Dream Drive, and he picks his guy. Tausch picks his guy. Tausch will join us from wherever he might be checking in from on Wednesday, and I will pick a guy. And quite frankly, I'll probably pick somebody different than I'm going to pick today. But because it's you, and because it's Wooly, neither of whom will be on the show when we do this on Wednesday, we're going to do it again. We're going to do it now. So we do our Steinhoffel Sleepers of the Week during the week, every week of the regular season. And, of course, we love our relationship with Steinhoffels. We've been so proud to be a partner with them, and they've been so good to us at the same time. And then we get to tell you about what sale they have going on each week. And right now at Steinhoffels, it's the last weekend of their summer truckload sale. Mattresses start at just $299. Sofas at just $399. Beds start at just $499. And dining sets start at just $599. Plus, you'll get 10% off all Southern Motion furniture and save up to 40% on patio items. Plus, with Steinhoffel's special 72-month financing, you can buy now and pay over 6 years. The summer truckload sale ends Sunday only at Steinhoffel's and steinhoffels.com. Time now for our Steinhoffel Sleepers of training camp.
Hey there, sleepyhead. Wakey, wakey. Okay, campers, rise and shine. It's time for the Steinhoffel Sleepers of the Week on Wilde and Tausch.
All right, Gabe, you're the cousin sub of the day. Cousin subs, we believe in better. Can I get low so I can look at the microphone and I'm standing up, but I'm still kind of... This is really...
I would describe your stance as tactical, Jason. Is that the best word to use?
I feel like a cat ready to pounce on Gabe.
Oh, wow.
Oh, boy. He's got the energy, man. He should have stood up hours ago.
Yeah, I don't know if we can call this the sleepers of the week anymore.
Oh, I'm wide awake.
Yeah.
Check in again with me. Check in again with me in a couple hours after these two 5 a.m. wake-ups. See if I'm taking a nap in the back of the car or something. All right, Gabe. Your Steinhoffel sleeper of training camp. Your guy that you're going to be keeping an eye on that isn't a frontline, Christian Watson. He's the sleeper. No, he's definitely not. Who is your sleeper of training camp?
I go back to that tight end position, Jason, because there has been so much focus on Musgrave and Kraft. But I still keep coming back to how much Matt LaFleur loved Josiah DeGuara coming out of college, about how much he just raved over the tape of him at Cincinnati. And now that Matt LaFleur, again, supposedly, even though he's denied it, gets to run his style of offense, and it's not a hybrid of what he likes and what Aaron Rodgers liked, which was the right thing to do, by the way. But I think that Josiah DeGuara is going to emerge as one of the top two tight ends for the Green Bay Packers in 23, and I think that's going to have a lot to do with what he does in training camp. If they want to run the ball as much as they want to run the ball, they're going to need somebody who can block at the NFL level. It's the one thing that he has kind of proven that they trust him to do is to block. He's been a glorified fullback, essentially, for the first handful of years of his career. I think he is going to emerge as one of those tight ends that Matt LaFleur wants to count on, and it all begins with training camp starting next week.
That's a great choice. I'm a skeptic on you being right. I think he's barely caught any passes during his career. He is,
You could be talking about literally every pass catcher they have, Jason, when you say, well, he hasn't caught a lot of passes in his career.
Yeah, but he's the only one going into year 4.
That's fair. But what, Smitty's got 8?
Yeah, he's
catches?
got more than Smitty. Yeah, and again, Tausch loved Tyler Davis so much he didn't know what his name was. That's how he became Smitty on this program. All right. Wooly?
Across ESPN Wisconsin. Like, everybody calls Tyler Davis Smitty because of Tausch.
Yeah, Tausch is very influential even when he's not here. All right, Wooly, you get to pick somebody. Who you picking? before I go.
Smitty does have that one Baltimore game from, 2-3 years ago, I think it was?
2 years ago.
defend.
That's what got Tausch on the Smitty bandwagon.
All right, but one player.
2 catches?
I think he had
touchdown?
one big catch down the field. It wasn't even a touchdown. It was just a big gain.
It was more of a great Rodgers throw from what I remember. But
well, he sucks and we don't talk about him.
Exactly. But who we do talk about and who has plenty of in-game experience, we're talking about that offensive line with Brian Bulaga. I think the guy who's going to help unlock that offensive line, Yosh Nijman. All right, he started 50 games in his career. He was undrafted out of Virginia Tech, a guy who kind of just baked in the Packers' offensive system with their O-line coach Adam Stenavich, Luke Butkus, and every year I feel like he's always just gotten better and become more and more reliable at right tackle. And I think if he can be sort of that stalwart at that position opposite David Bakhtiari, then that can really unlock those 2 middle positions on the line, center and right guard. Probably the 2 biggest question marks with Nijman and John Runyon Jr., and then maybe you can insert Zach Tom instead of one of those 2. So I think having him there and having the consistency along the offensive line for Jordan Love will pay dividends for him this season and help his development, and will really be the sleeper that helps awaken the beast that is Jordan Love.
So let me just clarify here. So far we've done this, and we've gotten a fullback and a right tackle.
These are sleepers. We're talking about sleepers, Jason. All right, we go deep.
Oh, they're
for these
sleeping.
ones. Sleeping giant.
The problem with picking a sleeper on offense, Jason, is we have talked so much about this offense throughout the entire offseason. I feel like the options are very limited because all these positions are so wide open in terms of who their starters are going to be. So who are you taking?
So I think we have to pick someone at wide receiver, right? Because I thought you were going to go, and you qualify as a sleeper, even though he's the most among the most experienced players on the offense as a whole, let alone at tight end. But I'm fine with your choice, Wooly. But
okay,
if you pick Luke Musgrave or if you pick Tucker Kraft, sure, they're rookies, but they were drafted with the express purpose of, as you put it, hitting the reset button at that position.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they're not sleepers. We're going to be watching them closely. Just like Romeo Doubs and Christian Watson aren't sleepers. They're not as experienced as you'd like your top 2 wide receivers to be. And I still think I tried to research it. I have gotten through a number of years, but not far enough all the way back to like the Super Bowl, the start of the Super Bowl era. But Bill Barnwell said they may have, from a wide receiver tight end perspective, the least experienced group in the modern history of the NFL. And I think he's going to be proven right if I have enough time to look up the rest of these depth charts, which I don't know if I will with training camp right around the corner. So you can't take those guys. You can't take Jaden Reed. He's a second-round pick.
Second-round pick.
Yep.
So my guy that I am taking, and he missed some off-season program time, and because he did, another sleeper that I think you might want to keep an eye on. I'll give him to you in a second. But there's another guy at that same position. I'm going to take Dontavian Wicks, who is the 5th-round pick at wide receiver. I do like that drop, by the way. Wow. So they have Grant Dubose, who is a great story. 7th-round pick. Great name. But, I mean, his team didn't play during the COVID season. He goes into the transfer portal, takes forever to find something, so he's working 3 jobs, including being the guy who loads in your groceries at Walmart if you do an online order for pickup, which I may or may not have told that story to the kid that loaded my car one day when I was going to pick up one of the orders.
Hey, you could be an NFL receiver one day, kid.
Someday. But I really think Dontavian Wicks, who had a really good junior season at Virginia and then struggled last year when they changed coaches and et cetera, and obviously they had a huge tragedy there at their school at the end of the season. I'm intrigued by him a lot, so I'm going to pick him, and I may pick him again on Wednesday. But there's another guy that I wanted to get to before we get to Wooly, and that is Malik Heath. And you may say, Jason, who is Malik Heath?
Jason, who is Malik
Well,
Heath?
you don't. You know who he is, but
I do,
Wooly
yes.
might. But he got a ton of work because Grant DuBose missed all the offseason. As I mentioned, Wicks missed some of it. And he ended up taking a fair number of reps with the ones. He is an undrafted free agent from Ole Miss. He's wearing number 18, and number 18 has never looked so different. I mean, he's tall, he's lanky. He's not Randall Cobb, the previous owner of that number. And I'll say this, he made some plays. He got my attention. And on a team with so many young guys, Gabe, the reality is it doesn't matter how you got here. Now that you're here, it's all merit-based. And if Dontavian Wicks or if Grant DuBose don't do much and Malik Heath does, hey, he's going to get his opportunity. So that's a name that if you're looking for somebody, if you're going to go up to one of the limited practices that will be open to fans, keep an eye on number 18. Intriguing guy to add to your mix. All right, those are our Steinhoffel sleepers of training camp. You can add yours on the Wilde and Tausch Twitter feed. We'll put that question out there. Then we'll do it again on Wednesday when Tausch and Dan Kelly and everyone else joins us. Whoa, Wooly is next. It's Wilde and Tausch.
This is Wilde and Tausch, driven by Zimbrick Chevrolet in Sun Prairie on 100.5 ESPN. See their full inventory at ZimbrickChevrolet.com.
Mark Tauscher here, hoping you enjoy Feel Good Friday, coming up to close out today's episode of Wilde and Tausch, painted by Hallman Lindsay Paints. And whether your next paint project calls for green and gold, cardinal white, or any color, I strongly suggest you do what my family did and trust the pro painters at Hallman Lindsay for your next project. Hallman Lindsay's pro painters are the best in the business, and you know what we say. Wisconsin's best painters use Wisconsin's best paint, and they're ready to help save you time and trouble. Get connected with the pro painter best for your project by simply stopping in to any of Hallman Lindsay's Madison area locations, and you just ask, and they'll get you in touch with the pro painter that best fits what your project calls for. And instead of spending your time painting and repainting, trust Hallman Lindsay's pro painters so you have more time to enjoy the summer before time runs out. Check them out at HallmanLindsay.com. That's HallmanLindsay.com. Hallman Lindsay, great paint, great people, and stay tuned for Feel Good Friday, coming up to close out Wilde and Tausch, painted by Hallman Lindsay Paints.
When you're injured, call Wisconsin's own Gruber Law Offices. One call, that's all. Proudly serving Wisconsin for over 30 years and proudly partnering with Wilde and Tausch. Miss any of the show? Find it with Wisconsin On Demand. Presented by Gruber Law Offices. One call, that's all.
Bringing summer gatherings to the next level is just another thing we do at Celebrations Entertainment. Hi, it's Jeffrey. With rental items like sound equipment, photo booths, and even yard games, you can make your event the party that everyone talks about. Any event like graduation parties, block parties, or even a backyard barbecue can be elevated with fun, interactive items to make everyone ask, hey, how'd you pull this off? Just tell them celebrationsentertainment.com. That's celebrationsentertainment.com.
Since J&K Security Solutions opened in 1987, our attention to detail and customer service have been our strongest assets. I'm President Jeffrey Beckman. We'll always do our best to find the most efficient and cost-effective solution to every job we tackle. Whether it's security for your home or business, installing video surveillance, or being able to control your garage doors from your phone, we can help you feel empowered with simple and user-friendly technology. Let's work together to secure your home or business. jksecurity.com.
Ben Brust here to tell you about why your next work van should be from Mercedes-Benz Sprinter at Zimbrick European. First off, we have versatility. The Sprinter vans offer 16 body types and thousands of ways to customize that space. Number 2, we have reliability. Sprinter's most powerful diesel engines last longer and require less maintenance, spend more time on the road and less time in those bays. Number 3, we have safety. Sprinter's safety technologies include curtain airbags all around, load adaptive electronic stability program, and crosswind and attention assist. Number 4, Van Care Mobile. Our maintenance team can come to you with routine service. Who wants to go in? Let them come to you. They work with multiple trucks on one visit. Use the Mercedes Me Connect. And last but not least, get your Zimbrick Sprinter at Zimbrick European at Rimrock Road and the Beltline, or go online at ZimbrickEuropean.com because they never charge over the MSRP.
For official rules and more information about every contest on 100.5 ESPN, visit ESPNWisconsinContest.com. That's ESPNWisconsinContests.com. You're listening to 100.5 ESPN and the ESPN app.
In the next 30 seconds, I'm going to tell you how to save money and save the planet. It's simple. Ditch your energy bill and make the switch over to Everlight Solar. While electricity prices keep rising, Everlight Solar will give you the chance to take ownership of your power while also reducing your carbon footprint. As a local company based out of Madison, they'll be there with you every step of the way as you make the switch to solar. To learn more about how you can save money and save the planet, go to everlightsolar.com.
We're on the Packers.
I've never seen a Green Bay Packers team with more question marks.
Because we're on Wisconsin Sports.
There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 position groups that are bad.
Nobody covers the green and gold like 100.5 ESPN.
Pretty nifty seats.
What do you got there?
It says reserved for Matt Hamilton, 2018 Olympic gold medalist, and then it's got a little mustache for the cross of the A, and I guess he puts this in his chair so people don't sit in it, which isn't a problem for me because I don't want to sit in it anymore.
Well, I will say it's actually not in his chair very often. We actually hide it behind the desk to try and squash his ego as much as we can, typically.
Does he have a big ego?
No, not really. I was just saying that. I mean, he is the only Olympian, the only gold medalist in our office or at ESPN Wisconsin.
I thought Strofe won something in the biathlon.
Biathlon? I believe
Silver,
he also
must
won
have
a
been.
social media award one time,
he
something
did.
like that.
Yeah, he beat me, which I was fine with. Time now for Whoa Wooly.
Topic is good. The guys discuss.
Just the other morning I had breakfast at Tracy Rocker's house. His mama brought out 15 flapjacks. He said, Mama, take back 5 of them flapjacks. I gotta stay hungry for the Crimson Tide.
But if it's not, the show must go on. It's time for
Whoa, Nelly!
On Wilde and Tausch.
So, on top of Whoa Nelly, it is Friday, guys. So we do have to pick our winner of this week's Wilde and Tausch trivia.
You just wanted to shuffle those chips.
Yes, exactly. I know Jesse loves to abuse this as much as he can, so I figured in his stead I will today.
It's a great sound effect.
It's very, it helps build the suspense, so I'll go ahead and just get right to it. And this week's winner of Wilde and Tausch Trivia, look away, look up, look down, and we have chip number 2, which means that we have Glenn from Wauwatosa won trivia this week. Congratulations, Glenn.
Attaboy, Glenn.
On your win on Wilde and Tausch Trivia. I'll reach out to you about getting you that ESPN Wisconsin prize pack. Wauwatosa, is that closer to Milwaukee or Madison?
That's outside of Milwaukee.
Okay, then
literally connected to the city of Milwaukee.
All right,
literally intertwined because the borders of Milwaukee are kind of strange. You could be driving down the same street, be in Tosa, be in Milwaukee, and then back in Tosa.
Anyone who's listened to Wilde and Tausch Trivia before knows my Wisconsin geography is pretty weak, and my Milwaukee geography might be the weakest point of that. So
you and Jesse
both.
You
live. Wait, hold on, man. Like you live in Madison. Like how do you not know that Tosa is nowhere near Madison?
Well, okay,
right? By elimination.
I didn't know if it was closer to Madison than Milwaukee because that determines which of the two stations reaches out to give the prize winner that ESPN Wisconsin prize pack. This is getting very behind the scenes.
Where did you grow up?
I grew up in the Fox Valley, up near Green Bay.
Okay,
I'm more
this is
northern.
This is really embarrassing.
Green Bay,
for you
is that
now.
near Appleton?
That's it's about 40 minutes north of Appleton. I'm actually from right next to Appleton. Yes, so
Little Chute?
Not Little Chute. No, Neenah. Yeah, the manholes.
Menasha.
Hortonville?
I'm more of a Menasha guy.
Menasha. Oh, Matrasha? No. The Twin
Wow,
Cities.
man,
Neenah.
now he's just
look.
He's taking out cities in his own region.
Look, Matrasha is not. No, they want to be Neenah. That's all I'll say. But
Kimberly?
Kimberly.
Shout out to the paper makers.
Kimberly is quite nice.
Darboy?
They're pretty good at every sport, and they really take it to Neenah every time.
I just now want to filibuster his entire Whoa
I mean, we
opportunities.
could.
So if you want to do that, I just want to say something when it comes to the whole Wooly thing. Like, it's been bothering me the entire show.
Oh, you're going to agree with me. I feel it coming.
Well, because every time I hear Wooly, I think of the movie Bull Durham. Because
women, they do get woolly.
Women don't get woolly, they get weary. I hate it when people get the words wrong.
I don't understand. You've lost your opportunity. I hope you had some of your best material for this.
Oh, it was absolutely.
I doubt it. So we had this discussion on the show when Wooly filled in for Jesse at some point, or maybe Jesse was on. All I know is I was being chastised for not realizing that his nickname is Wooly. His last name is Wollersheim. It's not Wollersheim, right?
Correct. It is phonetically pronounced Wollersheim.
Then why are you Wooly if your name is Wollersheim?
I believe this is a Mark Tauscher origination.
And we just bow down to the greatness that is our Packers Hall of Famer. I get it. He's a star. He's a genius. But we also have nicknamed Tyler Davis Smitty because of him.
I mean, in fairness, it's very similar to Chewy. Like, his name isn't Chumura. You know, it's Chumura.
Shimura if you're Frankie Bag of Donuts.
Yeah. Shmura.
My name is one like Mark, or like Chewy's, where you can say it a lot of different ways depending on how quickly you're trying to get it out. So I never really get too upset with people with how they pronounce it, but I've gone by Wooly, gone by Wally.
Is Tausch the first person who has called you Wooly?
No. My offensive line coach in high school called me Wally. Or Wooly, excuse me.
Well,
Only other person.
I'm going to start calling you Wally.
Wally?
I kind of like that.
Wally, but now you're talking, remind you of a movie, exactly.
I love Wally.
Yes. It's a solid movie. It's no Bull Durham, but it's still pretty good.
Slightly different storylines.
So just a little bit.
All right, give us your one best Wally topic before we move to Feel Good Friday, painted by Home and Lindsay Paints.
All right, so you mentioned earlier in the show today that one of the biggest stories of the week was the Commanders finally sold. Dan Snyder is no longer the owner of the team, so it seems like the new ownership wants to rebrand everything about the franchise as much as they can. So there's rumors that they're going to go and rename the team once again. Again, exactly. So I ask you guys, should they just really let the fans control this renaming this time around? Or it feels like we've talked about how the fan base, the ownership Packers fans have early this week with your conversation with Mark Murphy, Jason. So I wonder, is the best thing the Commanders or the Washington football team, as we should probably start calling them again, could they just give the power back to the fans and let them decide what the name is? Gabe, why don't I start with you?
I would lean into kind of letting them be a part of almost the process. And look, you own the team. You know, you just paid $6.05 billion or whatever it was for the team. I understand renaming it too, and just completely separating yourself from the disaster that Dan Snyder is as a human being, and just completely separating yourself from that. Like, look, I understand he chose Commanders because he had to be forced to change the name. We're gonna name it something else because this is a new era of Washington football. We are going to do better by the fans. So I understand all of that, but anytime you leave it up to the fans, this was, 5-6 years ago at this point, it was some British poll where they wanted to name this new boat, and it became Boaty McBoatface. All right, you leave the power to the people, and people are going to do, understandably, some pretty dumb things. So. Try to placate the fans the best you can. It seems like, at least online, that Washington football fans they really wanted to lean into kind of that Hogs, the past, and maybe you have some sort of, pig mascot that goes along with whatever you rename the team. But involve the fans to a certain point because people can't be trusted.
I'm going to call them the Woolly Mammoths. We'll do Feel Good Friday, painted by Home and Lindsay Paints next. It's Wilde and Tausch.
Wilde and Tausch.
This is Wilde and Tausch, brought to you by Grassland Butter. Grassland Dairy is Wisconsin. Learn more at grasslandbutter.com. You, rah. Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin present your Badger Minute. Here's Alex Strofe.
This Badger Minute brought to you by the Great Dane Pub and Brewing Company, Madison's home for craft beer and pub food since 1994. Find the Great Dane nearest you at greatdanepub.com. Former Wisconsin running back Melvin Gordon and many other NFL running backs are expressing their displeasure with NFL franchises and their treatment of the running back position. Gordon, who's currently a free agent, joined Wilde and Tausch last week to talk about the state of the running back position in the NFL.
You know, at this point in time, we're the ones that's getting filtered out. We making the same as long snappers and kickers, and it really sucks because you got college students making more than guys in the league.
Find the full interview with Melvin Gordon on Wisconsin On Demand or wherever you get your podcasts.
Pella's window and door design options are virtually limitless. Customize your order by August 31st and you could bundle and save big at PellaWI.com.
Life's better with a home policy from American Family Insurance because you'll feel protected no matter how the wind blows. All so you can keep enjoying the home of your dreams. And our expert agents can help you save up to 23% when you bundle home with auto. Insure carefully, dream fearlessly. American Family Insurance. Get a quote? Find an agent at amfam.com.
Products not available in every state. Visit amfam.com to learn how discounts may apply to you. American Family Mutual Insurance Company, SI, and its operating company, 6000 American Parkway, Madison, Wisconsin.
The GRB Rays have established themselves as one of the top baseball programs in the Midwest and the country. Since 2010, the Rays have developed over 350 college players, over 150 players committed to Division I baseball, and 23 MLB draft picks or contracts signed. The Rays are leading off for the 2024 season with tryouts for next year's spring and summer travel teams running from now until August 3rd. Visit grbacademy.com to sign up today. Rays Baseball. Raise your game.
Gold medalist Matt Hamilton, judgmental Jim Rutledge, and Hamilton.
You're going to call me old. My back hurt this morning, so you can help crack my back.
That's weird.
You getting a phone call? What's going on?
That was me calling. What? Pocket dial.
How old is Matt Hamilton?
Yeah, my back hurts and I pocket dial. My pocket loves to call people.
Rutledge and Hamilton with Jim Rutledge and Matt Hamilton. Presented by Coors Light. Weekdays 2 to 4 on 100.5 ESPN.
Ruggability. We straight made that word up. How else to describe the otherwise indescribable rugged, capable, incredible versatility and affordability of a Honda SUV? Car and Driver calls Honda the winningest brand in 10 best history. Your kids will call it totally lit. But we like ruggability, and you'll like the Incredifantabulous deals, so see your Wisconsin Heartland Honda dealer today. Honda gets Wisconsin.
Mark Tosher here for Chalmers Jewelers. Well, it's always a good time to get that special someone in your life a beautiful gift. And when I'm in need of a new piece of jewelry, Chalmers Jewelers is my go-to place. Whether I want a timeless classic or a one-of-a-kind piece, Chalmers Jewelers in Middleton and Madison has just what I'm looking for. My life has been made so much easier thanks to the great team over at Chalmers Jewelers, and is the reason I keep going back for more. Visit chalmersjewelers.com to find your perfect new piece of jewelry today.
In the next 30 seconds, I'm going to tell you how to save money and save the planet. It's simple. Ditch your energy bill and make the switch over to Everlight Solar. While electricity prices keep rising, Everlight Solar will give you the chance to take ownership of your power while also reducing your carbon footprint. As a local company based out of Madison, they'll be there with you every step of the way as you make the switch to solar. To learn more about how you can save money and save the planet, go to everlightsolar.com.
You gotta get down on Friday. It's time to finish the week off right. It's Feel Good Friday on Wilde and Tausch, painted by Hallman Lindsay.
Hey, feeling good, like I should. When in darker, walk around the neighborhood.
It is Feel Good Friday, painted by Hallman Lindsay Paints. And I thought we would come full circle, because I started the week with the ESPN Madison team and Gabe Neitzel at Trapper's Turn for the inaugural, and props to whoever called it that, because I see a lot of first annuals out there. And as a
journalism guy, that bothers you?
A word nerd, yes. You can't be annual until you've had a second one. So the inaugural ESPN Madison Open, it benefited Catch, which is the community around the Children's Hospital here in Madison, the AmFam Children's Hospital, which, again, is one of those great things that you hope you never need their expertise, but if you do, you are so thankful they are there. And that's why we're happy to be supporting that. I know we raised a bunch of money. We were selling 50-50 raffle tickets and mulligans, and every hole there was an opportunity to help catch, and a bunch of our fans and our teammates who took part were supporting that cause. It was great to do that. But it was also great for me because, Gabe, as you know, and I don't know if you know this, but Green Bay, not close to Milwaukee or Madison. I know I need to teach Wooly some Wisconsin geography. But I don't get.
And that being said, it is closer to Milwaukee, in case you were confused there, Wooly.
I can speak for that based on my mileage.
I appreciate the coaching.
But I don't get to see people all that often. I'm in my basement. Tausch likes to tease me for it. So not only was it great to support Catch, not only was it great to be at Andy North's beautiful golf course that he designed, it was also great to be with teammates. And it was great to see you as well. I know I tease you about your beard. Your wife likes it, and that's all that matters.
Yes. We're going to get it trimmed next week too, Jason. I mean, the length is probably still going to be there for the most part, but it's going to get cleaned up a little bit. But as far as the ESPN Madison Open, it was awesome to be out there. So, thank you to the invite that I got to be out there. And it just kind of started organically. Like, this wasn't something that Tom Olson and the team there at ESPN Madison went, okay, we're going to have this golf outing, and it's going to be for charity. It's just something that they had this idea to have golf around Rutledge and Hamilton. It just continued to grew to the point where we had, I believe, 80 golfers out there. Mm-hmm. And when you have 80 golfers and then you're able to then raise money for such a great charitable foundation with Catch around the Children's Hospital, it's always cool to me, the things that the community and the people of Wisconsin will rally around. And when you can just, especially with so many other golf outings out there. I mean, if you're in Milwaukee, if you're in Madison, it's just, you could go to one every week, a different charitable golf outing. So for this one to grow the way that it did organically, I can't wait to see what Tom and the team do next year for this, because I know it's going to be bigger. I know it's going to be better. And it's awesome when you just see these things grow just organically.
Well, we were happy to support Catch, and we look forward to the second annual ESPN Madison Open next year. I had a great time. I got to play 12 North with the girls, which I hadn't played golf in a really long time. But really the highlight for me was I saw Gabe Neitzel hit 2 shots, and they were the 2 worst shots he had all day.
It was.
I was
Lost
the
both of
whammy.
them.
Well, I'm
Lost
sorry.
both of them.
I'm sorry to have done that to you. I always brag about what a great golfer you are, and then when I'm there watching, too much pressure. Couldn't handle it. I don't know how you're going to win the Open.
I choked it.
If you can't even do it when I'm watching. All right, that's it for us. Thanks to Gabe for stepping in as our cousin sub of the day today. We'll have cousin subs next week as well. Thanks to Wooly for his great job producing the show, and thanks to you for coming along for the ride with us today. Have a great day. Take care. Be good.
Miss any of today's episode of Wilde and Tausch? Presented by Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin? Commercial-free full show podcasts are available free on Wisconsin On Demand.
Ma,